From a family of fishermen and farmers to the true immortal of water and virtue, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301, Earth Flame Dragon. The sea was boundless, as if it was boundless, extending to the limit of vision, with no end in sight. But at this time, under the interference of the mysterious power, the entire sea began to rumble and shake, as if it was torn apart by an invisible terrifying force, and surged to both sides. The calm sea surface was broken, and the sea water was like two towering walls of water, rushing wildly to both sides, stirring up waves that were tens of meters high, revealing an invisible gully. Li Quanqing had already stepped on the void, and flew to the sky early in the morning. No matter how the sea roared, it was difficult to wet his clothes. He looked down, and saw a red light blooming deep in the seabed, and then it quickly spread and enlarged, like a raging magma gushing out. It was a sky full of flames burning, and a huge monster was sleeping in it, like a red mountain, with magma flowing on its scales, and its head was majestic. The breath of a third-level monster permeated, and the demonic energy was rolling and surging like smoke, like a sky full of fire clouds. Li Quanqing was somewhat surprised. He actually recognized this big demon. It was the Earth Flame Dragon that had been mixed with the Golden Crown Thunderpeng. These two demon beasts had been looking for the third-level Ice Phoenix, wanting to devour the remains and demon pills after the failed tribulation. They had already made some discoveries, so they lingered in this sea area. Now it seems that in the past few decades, they have obviously made new discoveries and actually broke into this Cheyenne ruins. But what is funny is that the Cheyenne Dao is a real inheritance of the ancient cultivators of the human race, and the reason for its decline is inextricably linked to the demon race. These two stupid demon beasts broke into this place, just like walking into a trap. There is no difference at all. Li Quanqing looked at this demon king. The other party had been completely controlled, like a mosquito sealed in a lake, unable to move, and sleeping here forever. The experience begins. Please use your own strength to kill this golden pill demon beast. With a click, as if glass shattered, the imprisoned space opened, and the still time began to flow again. The Earth Flame Dragon was awakened, slowly opened its lava-like pupils. Its body was winding. Red flames rushed into the sky. Magma rolled down. It set its sights on its opponent. Facing a big demon in the middle stage of the Golden Core, Li Quanqing had no pressure at all. He had too many cards. Without any hesitation, he directly used the void scissors, turned into a silver-white streamer, and hid in the void, invisible. While the big demon has not yet fully awakened, he will kill it directly. But unexpectedly, the void scissors cut through the sky, and the next moment it disappeared directly. The magic power was cut off, and it was no longer seen. Li Quanqing? Illegal use of the nascent soul spirit treasure will be confiscated. Please rely on your own strength to defeat the opponent. The Cheyenne order was suspended in the sky, and a line of water characters appeared again. Then the space cracked, and the void scissors fell from it, like a silverfish chasing around the token. Li Quanqing understood a little. It seems that this experience, as the literal meaning, can only rely on one's own strength. The use of yuanying spiritual treasures is prohibited. So what about the golden elixir magic weapon? Li Quanqing took out the fish dragon spear, accompanied by the roar of the dragon, and directly split the boundless sea water with unparalleled sharpness, trying to cut the monster in half. The next moment, the sky flashed with light, and the fish dragon spear also disappeared, turning into the size of a palm, and was thrown to the Cheyenne token. The void shears and the fish dragon spear are both spiritual treasures, one silver and one blue, chasing each other like living creatures, and not obeying the call of the master at all. Li Quanqing was a little confused at this time, and he finally realized that this inheritance trial was really a pitfall. Without the help of the magic weapon, how could he compete with the claws and powerful body of the monster with only the golden elixir magic power? After this delay, the Earth Flame Dragon finally woke up completely, and its huge body undulated like a mountain, just like a living creature transformed from lava, and a dragon's might filled the four directions. The Earth Flame Dragon was all over the body of the flames, and the flames gushing out from under the scales, scorched the surrounding sea water. twisting into a weird heat wave. Human. I remember you. The earth flame flood dragon spoke slowly. His voice was hoarse and unpleasant. His eyes were as big as lakes, giving people a strong deterrent. I think after killing you, I can not only get the body left by the ice phoenix, but also escape from here completely. It looked at the sea water around it, and there was a lingering fear in its eyes, and even a deep fear. This place is really terrible. It broke into here with the golden crown thunderpeng, but it had no resistance at all, and was directly sealed by an unknown force. When it woke up just now, the earth flame flood dragon also received a message that, as long as it killed the human in front of it, it could take away the remains of the ice phoenix, and be completely released. Then let's fight. Li Quanqing sensed the murderous aura of the other party, but he was not afraid, but rather eager to try. He had not fought in person for many years, and he relied on the sharpness of the magic weapon to directly crush his opponent. At this time, Li Quanqing also understood the purpose of this trial, which was to show his own hard power. Only when he was really strong enough could he inherit the inheritance of Shai and Dao, the boundless blue sea, the sky and the sea. Li Quanqing stretched out his hand and pointed, and the golden elixir in his danshan shone brightly, and began to display his own magical powers. The mysterious blue light bloomed, and in an instant, the sea water surged and gathered from all directions. In the blink of an eye, a towering giant of the sea rose from the ground. The body condensed from the sea water was crystal clear and sparkling. Every wave of water flow was accompanied by the roar of the waves. Li Quanqing looked down at the big monster. At this moment, the sea roared, and the shadow was as huge as a mountain, completely covering the opponent. Roar. The earth flame dragon roared, fearless, twisting his body, and spewing out a surging column of fire from his mouth, like boiling magma gushing out. The giant of the sea stirred the sea water, and the giant fist condensed from the sea water was wrapped in the momentum of overwhelming the mountains and seas, roaring and smashing towards the opponent. At the moment, when the fist collided with the dragon, a loud noise shook the heaven and earth, the sea water turned into mist all over the sky, and the flames were also splashed and rumbled. Li Quanqing responded calmly, just like an ancient god going into the sea to catch a dragon. With every move, the sea water surged on the surface of his body. The water vapor filled the air, and set off huge waves, which changed the situation here. The battle lasted for several days and nights, and in the end, Li Quanqing won the final victory. After all, this environment is the sea. Li Quanqing has the magical power of swallowing the world, which can refine a large amount of sea water, to restore his cultivation and directly kill the opponent. The huge corpse of the dragon floated on the sea, and blood gushed out, dyeing a large area of sea water red, and the fishy smell was overwhelming. The first level trial passed, the evaluation is B+, and the Ice Phoenix inheritance is rewarded. Right square bracket. Chapter 302. Ice Phoenix breaks out of its shell. Ice Phoenix inheritance? Li Quanqing was stunned. Even if the inheritance of a demon beast was powerful and mysterious enough, it didn't seem to have much effect on him. The next moment, the void cracked open, and a millstone-sized ice blue giant egg. An extremely cold breath blew in his face. The cold wind was like a knife, accompanied by the vigorous vitality, as if he could hear the heartbeat in the eggshell. Li Quanqing slightly widened his eyes, and exclaimed in his heart, "Is this the blood inheritance? It's obviously to pack up a whole demon beast, and take it away. But in a sense, it seems to be right." Li Quanqing stroked the eggshell, which was ice blue and crystal clear, and extremely smooth, as if touching an ancient ice cube, exuding a biting cold. Snow white lines spread on the surface of the eggshell, as if condensed from ice, turning into a phoenix bat pattern flapping its wings and ready to fly, lifelike. This should be that third level peak ice phoenix, which failed to pass the nascent soul tribulation, and was reborn through nirvana. Li Quanqing's heart was pounding. He had long been connected with this ice phoenix. He once got 2 feathers and used them to cultivate the ice soul cold light, which made him invincible in the foundation building. This ice phoenix has extraordinary blood. It can cultivate to the peak of the golden core by itself. Now it has reborn again with the help of its innate magical power, and can at least break through the nascent soul realm. It is definitely the most talented monster in Li Quanqing's hands. Li Quanqing stroked the cold and smooth eggshell, feeling happy and worried at the same time. How to subdue such a gifted monster is also a big problem, otherwise it might as well sell it. While hesitating, the void fluctuated again, cracked open, and a blood soul contract fell out of it. This was a soul contract used in ancient times to forcibly enslave monsters. It can directly control the soul and life and death of the monster clan, which is extremely domineering. This scroll may seem inconspicuous, but it is filled with an extremely ancient aura, which is extremely powerful. Li Quanqing was surprised, and at the same time, a long-standing guess emerged in his mind. There must be intelligent creatures in this Chionheadao ruins, which should be like a formation spirit. Otherwise, they would never consider everything so thoroughly, not only giving him a monster egg, but also thinking of how to make a contract. Li Quanqing opened the soul contract, studied it carefully, and sprinkled a drop of his own life essence blood between his fingers, leaving his own origin mark on the scroll. The next moment, the entire contract burned fiercely, turning into an invisible flame. The flame heart was blood red, emitting a circle of red light, which was slightly weird. What's even more weird is that the flame burned fiercely, but there was no temperature released at all. It was as cold as ice. The blood contract soul flame drilled into the eggshell, illuminating the entire giant egg, and it could be vaguely seen in the viscous liquid. A phoenix bird curled up, as if it was in a deep sleep, with feathers covering its body, lifelike. The soul flame burned, and finally drilled into the phoenix beast's sky spirit bone and disappeared. It was also at this moment that Li Quanqing's body trembled slightly, and he clearly realized that he and the creature in the egg had signed an unbreakable slavery contract. Snap. His surprise did not end. With the successful signing of the soul contract, the ice blue eggshell surface suddenly began to crack, spreading like a spider web, making a crisp sound. Obviously, this phoenix bird could have broken out of the shell long ago, but it had been suppressed by the existence in the ruins. It was not until this time that the blood contract was signed, and it was completely tamed by the human race, that it was completely bred. The eggshell peeled off piece by piece, and finally, a small head poked out of it, with a dazzling ice blue and elegant temperament, and curiously looked at the surrounding environment. Li Quanqing looked at the little phoenix, which looked about the same size as a rooster, with a deep blue body, only the beak was snow white, and a pair of pupils as clear as glass. Its whole body exudes a faint blue light, and its ice blue feathers are like carefully carved ice crystals, reflecting dreamy colors in the sun, and each piece flashes with a mysterious and cold breath. Li Quanqing looked into the eyes of the phoenix bird, and was relieved immediately. That kind of clear stupidity, it is obvious that it has lost all the memories before nirvana, just like a newborn monster, curiously looking at this world. Beautiful and freezing, Xuanming Ice Phoenix, I flap my wings, leaving only ice and snow all over the sky, and everything withers. Welcome to the world of ice and snow, blooming for you and me. Cultivation, early golden core, 1%. Li Quanqing looked at the words that appeared in front of him, touched the palm of the little phoenix monster, and suddenly trembled slightly. Golden core? Golden core. It was a third level monster just after birth. The posture of incarnation. The next moment, the spiritual energy in the sky roared, and turned into a rolling spiritual tide, dissipating towards the void in all directions, and the spiritual energy was dense and sticky like fog. The body of the Xuanming Ice Phoenix floated up, sinking in the majestic spiritual energy, opened its mouth, and uttered the first cry, after it came to the world. Cry. Although the cry of the Ice Phoenix was immature, it also had an indescribable sense of majesty, piercing golden splitting rocks. It spread its wings and soared, and a biting cold wind suddenly blew in the sky, and the blue demonic energy surged, setting off an ice storm. The clouds condensed into ice, and snowflakes flew all over the sky, as if the whole world was controlled by its icy power. Its powerful power was shocking. Harvest a giant and early Xuanming Ice Phoenix, and reward the Yuanying Spirit Treasure Bingsha and Angshan Mirror. Bingsha and Angshan Mirror, a 4th level lower grade spiritual treasure. It forms a world of ice, with howling wind and snow, which can trap enemies in it, and make it difficult to escape. When it is fully activated, it can freeze the sea for 30,000 miles. Li Quanqing was delighted, but also a little disappointed. He originally thought that all the rewards from the Phoenix Demon, when he was refining Ki and building the foundation, would be given to him. Now it seems too fantastic. Li Quanqing did not touch the light ball. After all, there are unknown creatures in the depths of the ruins, so it is better to be cautious. He took out the Hanhei bowl and took the whole Xuanming ice phoenix into it, and even the body and blood of the earth flame dragon. The meat of these monsters contains dragon blood and abundant lava demonic energy, which can help Langa and Io to complete his foundation and try to break through the golden elixir. This demon pill of the earth flame dragon can also be used to let a foundation building cultivator in the family refine it and become a fake elixir master. Breaking through the bottleneck of the golden elixir is too difficult. Among the foundation building cultivators of the Li family, the talent can only be said to be above average. It is too difficult to want to produce another real golden elixir master. It is better to learn from the Shuhua sword sect and directly cultivate a fake elixir cultivator, which is more reasonable. He even thought of the candidate for refining. Now, how should I leave here? Li Quanqing looked around and saw the vast ocean sweeping. The sea water was endless, and the way back was gone. Just as he was wondering, a new line of text appeared on the surface of the Cheyenne order above his head. Sacrifice a Yuanian great demon with blood to start the second level of inheritance trial. Right square bracket. Chapter 303 Cheyenne Secret. Blood Sacrifice. Yuanian great monster? Li Quanqing looked at this line of text, and his mouth twitched slightly. This was simply a foolish dream. With his current strength, encountering a Yuanian great monster would be like sending a dish to someone, not enough to swallow in one bite. The Cheyenne token seemed to know his strength. It trembled slightly, and opened the portal again, and then fell into his palm. Li Quanqing no longer hesitated, put away the Cheyenne token, and went straight through the portal, and left the ruins. Time went forward a little. In another piece of ruins, a bright moon was hanging high, scattering thousands of clear lights, clanging like a sword blooming in the sky, and wanted to pierce the entire sky. I saw that where the moonlight passed, everything was cut into pieces silently, and the cross-section was as smooth as a mirror. Cry. Between the clouds, an ice blue phoenix spread its wings and sang, making a hoarse and unpleasant cry from its throat, and the whole body was filled with death, without any vitality. Through the broken body of the ice phoenix, one could even see a spinning demon pill, emitting an astonishing chill that froze the moonlight into powder. This was obviously the remains of the Xuanming ice phoenix, which was refined into a combat puppet by an unknown existence. At this time, it could actually burst out with the combat power of the nascent soul level. Fight to the last. The bright moon turned into a divine ring, and a cold shout came from it. The sound was crisp and pleasant, like the jingling of jade rings. If Li Quanqing was here, he would be able to recognize this nascent soul cultivator. It was Taiyan Zenjin who had met her once. Moreover, she was born in the 4C sect, which was also one of the inheritances left by Cheyenne Dao, and she specialized in the Taiyan Zenshu Avenue. Taiyan Zenjin waved his white hands gently, and the moonlight intertwined in the sky. Runes flashed and clattered, turning into chains across the sky. These chains were transparent, surging like water, with dense runes flashing and blooming a circle of moonlight-like brilliance. Cry. The ice phoenix puppet tried its best to resist, flapping its wings quickly, stirring up a raging snowstorm, and the temperature around it dropped rapidly, and a layer of frost quickly spread out. Even the indestructible stone would burst in front of this extremely cold storm, and explode on the spot. However, the moonlight chains cut through the sky, making a rustling sound, as if they were not affected by external objects at all, and directly penetrated the puppet's body, and landed on the surface of the demon pill. Crunch! Exclamation mark. The tiny chains tightened, and the demon pill trembled violently, making a sound of being overwhelmed. The residual soul contained in it was almost purified and sealed, and it became completely quiet. Dust to dust, earth to earth. Taiyan Zenjin sighed softly, his sleeves fluttering, and his jade hands gently touched, as if plucking the invisible strings of a harp. The next moment, the huge body of the ice phoenix disintegrated with a bang, turning into a pile of flesh, bones, broken feathers and debris, which hit the ground and splashed countless ice chips and dust. I have passed the inheritance test, immortal spirit. Please come out and see me. Taiyan Zenjin spoke in a voice that shook the heaven and earth, and saluted respectfully, and performed the disciple ceremony. However, just like the ancestors of the 4C sect, This space was quiet and dead silent, without any response at all. If the ice phoenix puppet on the ground was not still struggling, she would have thought that the inheritance revival mechanism reserved by the ancestors of Xiandao had been damaged over the years. True Lord Taiyin gritted his teeth, unwilling to accept the result, and continued to shout, "Senior Xianling, I know that it was the disputes among the various sects in the past, fighting for the position of the Dao Master, which indirectly led to the fragmentation of Xiandao and the destruction of the world, which made you completely disappointed. However, the mistakes of the predecessors can also be made up by the younger generation. Now my Sahei sect has grown for thousands of years, and the various sects have reconciled again, and even most of the fragments of the immortal tripod have been gathered together. As long as you completely open the ruins and open the inheritance, relying on the foundation of the restoration of the sect left by the masters in the past, you will definitely revive the reputation of my Xiandao, once again dominate the East China Sea cultivation world, and control the rise and fall of the world for eternity." Her words were sonorous and deafening, echoing endlessly in this huge space. However, in return, there was still silence, only the cold wind blew, whimpering. "Senior Xianling, the Lord of the Sea has already ascended to heaven, and his bloodline has been cut off. Do you still want to wait for tens of thousands of years?" Finally, Taiyin's engine couldn't help it. He shouted loudly, and the sound shook the whole field, revealing some secrets recorded in the unofficial history. She was just resigned to her fate and thought of a rumor among the Yuanying's engine of the sect. She spoke with the mentality of giving it a try. Unexpectedly, it actually worked in the end. After a moment of silence, there was finally movement in the air, and the water flow gathered and turned into a line of text. "Blood sacrifice a Yuanying monster to start the second level of inheritance trial." Taiyin's engine was stunned for a moment, and then he was overjoyed. "Thank you, Senior Xianling, for your help." She no longer hesitated, and directly grabbed the Xian token above her head and left, ready to return to the sect to report the good news. Deep in the ruins, a gaze fell dimly, as if through the infinite space, seeing Li Quanqing, who had just stepped into this place. "The descendants of Bihei's bloodline. I hope you won't let me down." The voice echoed in the void, carrying with it the vicissitudes of the endless years, and a touch of lingering longing, and the tone revealed a tenderness that he had never noticed. Li Quanqing passed through the portal, and when he came to his senses again, he was already lying on the stone altar in the cave, cold. He touched his sleeves, and there were still residual water stains on his body. This unique way of transmission is really magical, and the creation is mysterious. This trip was a complete success and a great harvest. Li Quanqing naturally did not stay, and prepared to return to the family residence. He dived into the sea, performed the hidden turtle shell, and followed the previous route, to return to the guarded island again. Li Quanqing fought for several days and nights in the relic space, but he was not tired at this time. He took advantage of the night, to push the escape light to the extreme. After traveling tens of thousands of miles, Li Quanqing finally found something wrong. The closer he got to the front line of the battlefield, the more violent the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth became. Thick blood bloomed in front of his eyes, and there were broken limbs and arms everywhere, and the demonic energy was soaring into the sky. Li Quanqing finally knew what was happening. The beast tide broke out. This was not the previous small fight, but a real beast tide that swept across the entire East China Sea and a million miles of territory. Fortunately, he was not delayed for long, and it was still in time to go back. Li Quanqing carefully shuttled through the sea water, and with the help of the water escape magic, he finally successfully reached the front line of the battlefield. He raised his head, and saw the silver-white star floating, blooming with infinite rays of light, and the formation roared. At this time, the island protection formation was fully opened, blocking the void, and he could not get close at all. He could only get rid of this beast tide before returning to the family. Li Quanqing glanced around and soon found his target. That was the mastermind behind the beast tide in this area, a golden ring octopus monster in the Jiandan realm, waving thick tentacles, hiding in the deepest part of the sea. Li Quanqing did not hesitate and took out the newly acquired frozen sky mirror, and directly sent out a cold wave across the sky. "Monster, look at my magic weapon." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304, Demon Pill Selection. Li Quanqing held the ice mysterious frozen sky mirror in his hand, and the mirror surface was filled with endless cold air. He killed all the beasts in the beast tide and was invincible. Snap, snap. I saw white rays falling from the mirror, as if it contained a world of ice and snow, releasing a biting cold and freezing everything. The wind and snow were howling, and in the blink of an eye, the sea water in the sky was frozen into ice lumps. Ice chips flew everywhere, and countless little monsters turned into ice sculptures, and their lives were cut off in an instant. This Yuanying spiritual treasure is definitely a sharp weapon for clearing out the little soldiers. The ice field freezes everything, and no one can escape. Seeing that the situation was not good, the golden ring octopus monster in the early stage of the golden elixir realm was immediately scared, spitting out large pieces of black and sticky ink, and then prepared to escape. Whoosh! Exclamation mark. Silently, the void shears cut through the void, leaving silver white crystal silk threads in the sea water, beautiful and deadly. The body of the golden core monster was stiff as it swam, and then it was cut into 8 pieces. The blood mixed with the pieces of flesh and blood scattered, like a puzzle. The sharpness of the void scissors can even cut the space and split the void. Even the flesh of the Yuanying monster needs to be cautious. Killing a weak and ordinary 3rd level monster is as easy as killing a chicken. Li Quanqing came right after, and with a wave of his hand, he collected the flesh and blood of all the monsters, and took away the 3rd level monster pill that was specially left. I have become so strong now. Even though he had been mentally prepared for the power of the void scissors, Li Quanqing was still a little shocked. The 3rd level monster, killed instantly. Thinking back to the past, he fought hard, and fought with the earth flame dragon for several days and nights, and finally killed the opponent with the help of the environment. This shows the horror of the Yuanying spirit treasure. You know, many nascent soul cultivators only have one life treasure, which they nourish with blood essence for many years, before they can transform into a 4th level spiritual treasure in the Thunder Tribulation, greatly increasing their spirituality. Li Quanqing has not yet formed a nascent soul, but he already has 3 spiritual treasures. He is really rich. No wonder the Baoguan toad likes to lie on my head recently. It turns out that the treasure energy is too strong, and it is about to break through. I will throw it a nascent soul spiritual treasure, and see the effect. Li Quanqing carefully put away the void scissors. When he was done, the beast tide had been resolved. Nearly 80% of the monsters were directly frozen to death, turning into ice sculptures, condensing into one with the frozen sea surface. The cold was piercing, and it was particularly tragic. But, as the formation roared, the formation patterns quickly intertwined, opening an extremely narrow gap, and then many human cultivators poured out from the island. They looked at Li Quanqing in awe, and it could be said that they respected him like a god. Then they quickly cleaned up the battlefield, and handed the corpses of the monsters to the Li family members in charge. This beast tide has lasted for 2 days, with a huge scale and magnificent momentum. I didn't expect that now. Only one person could calm it down in dozens of breaths. Quanqing, it seems that you have gained a lot. Li Kunlun walked out of the gap, and looked at the ice blue mirror in his hand, thinking that it was the harvest of this outing. Li Quanqing just smiled slightly, without explaining, and followed him into the formation, and returned to the island, where he was stationed. After this annihilation, a demon king was also lost. Even if the demons in this area want to regroup, and launch a beast tide again, it will take a long time. Li Quanqing stepped on the void and deliberately looked at the key refining monks guarding the formation below, paying special attention to the secret spies of the Sitter family. After his advance arrangement, these guys were indeed sent to the most dangerous area. It was just the first large-scale beast tide outbreak, and it seemed that many monks had been killed and injured, and they could not escape the fate of destruction in the end. It was not until he returned to the palace in the core area of Xiansao that Li Quanqing completely relaxed, and then a long-lost feeling of fatigue came over him. Although he had been exploring the ruins for a short time this time, He had consumed a lot of energy, and now he could finally take a break. The only pity was that he could not find Zhao Keiwo's whereabouts, and her whereabouts remained a mystery. He released the furry golden flame tiger and ordered the tiger cub to lie on its side in the hall, fanning the flames. The fur was thick and fluffy, and it was particularly warm. Li Quanqing lay lazily on the tiger cub's belly, holding its two round and fluffy ears with his palms, thinking how nice it would be if he could peel off this layer of tiger skin and make a blanket to sleep on. For no reason, the golden flame tiger lay on the floor, shivering coldly, with lingering fears. Li Quanqing stroked the golden tabby cat and waited until the tense state was completely relaxed, and then he had the mind to check the harvest this time. The most precious thing is naturally the juvenile Xuanming Ice Phoenix, which is born with a golden elixir and will become a Yuan Ying in the future, a perfect state of transformation. Li Quanqing took out the Hanhei bowl, probed his spiritual sense and looked inside. Although the Xuanming Ice Phoenix has just been conceived, it can already fly in the air, like a curious baby, looking at the Kizu Mountain on Yulang Island. To it, everything in front of it seems so new. It flapped its wings, because it has not yet completely mastered its powerful power. A layer of frost spreads between the grass and trees wherever it passes. Shocked by the gap in strength and racial bloodline, except for the two giant monsters and the dragon flame eagle, other spirit beasts have expressed their intention to surrender. It seems that we need to build a separate island for the Ice Phoenix. Looking at the spiritual medicine damaged by the frost, Li Quanqing touched his chin and made a decision. He had already planned to completely refine the former foundation building treasure, the Snowdust Heavenly Clothes, and open up an ice and snow island in the north of Yulang Island. Not only can it expand the world of the cave, but the water and fire of the two islands in the north and south can also promote the circulation of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and breed vitality. Now that we have the cute and beautiful little Xuanming Phoenix, this matter can naturally be put on the agenda. Li Quanqing shifted his gaze and looked at the second largest harvest, which was the flesh and body of the earth flame dragon. This monster is now lying on the volcanic island, with magma rolling and flowing between the scales and armor, and the demonic energy soaring to the sky. Even if it is dead, it still has a vast dragon power and is outstanding. The dragon flame eagle is guarding next to it, day and night, with a pair of golden pupils shining, and it is obvious that the monster meat has been taken as a bag. However, before getting the order from the master, the dragon eagle will never dare to steal. It will only rub it twice secretly, to refine the essence of the fire emitted by the earth flame dragon. As these spirit beasts become stronger and smarter, Li Quanqing is also deliberately cultivating his own majesty. These are all subtle changes in daily contact, coupled with various contractual means of enslaving monsters. All monsters maintain absolute awe and submission to him. Li Quanqing plans to leave the corpse of this fire-attributed dragon for Long Yandio to eat, which is no less effective than a giant unspiritual object. Whether it can break through the bottleneck of Giant depends entirely on the luck of Long Yandio. He stretched out his hand and pointed, and saw that the belly of the earth flame dragon suddenly cracked, and a lava-colored red demon pill flew out of it, shining brightly. This is the treasure he values most, a powerful demon pill at the peak of the Middle Jiandan period, on the verge of breaking through the Late Jiandan period. If this demon pill is refined into the foundation of the Great Dao and the fake pill is condensed, it will definitely be much stronger than the fake one of Jiuji and Zenran. Moreover, the combat power of fire-attributed cultivators is strong, and it is by no means weaker than the real Jiandan in the early stage. As for the candidate for refining, Li Quanqing already has an answer in his mind. Li Kunli, the former head of the family's refining hall, the wise and martial third elder. When Li Quanqing was weak, he was able to quickly stand out in the family, which was definitely due to the help of this old man. Moreover, with Li Kunli's top-grade fire spirit root, he was on the verge of the 60-year limit when he broke through the foundation, and the possibility of condensing the golden elixir by himself was almost zero. It would be better to give him a chance. Now, after a 60-year period, Li Kunli also reached the late stage of foundation building some time ago, which was enough to reach the great perfection of foundation building before the age of 150. He truly has the qualifications to refine this Yanjiao demon pill and form a fake pill. However, Li Quanqing did not rush to tell Li Kunlun about this, but planned to slow down first. If the dragon flame eagle swallowed the flesh and blood and still could not break through, he would choose to feed this demon pill to it. After all, if the demon beast breaks through the 3rd level, it will be guaranteed to reward treasures such as the nascent soul spirit treasure, which is definitely more cost effective than having one more fake pill cultivator. As for Li Quanqing's path, he can find another demon king and kill him to get the pill. It's just a little more troublesome and requires a lot of information. Li Quanqing played with the flame dragon demon pill. With his current sharp spiritual treasure, it was not too stressful to kill those golden core demons. In addition, he had just harvested the 2nd demon pill, which was of water attribute, and decided to keep it for himself. The strength of the golden ring octopus demon was not strong. It was only in the early stage of golden core. With this demon pill, its strength would only be the weakest. Moreover, suitable water spiritual root cultivators, such as Li Quanqing, were taught by ancient formation spirits and practiced mysterious inheritance and had their own foundation. Maybe he could form a pill by himself and become the 3rd golden core cultivator of the Li family. He did not look down on the fake pill method. Li Quanqing also had water spiritual roots, but he practiced ice attribute skills and built a magical foundation. His practice speed was not fast. Moreover, the quality of this demon pill was really average. If the Li family had a great perfection in foundation building, they would want to rely on the demon pill to break through. Li Quanqing was more inclined to kill a few more powerful demon beasts in the middle stage of golden core by himself, which would be the most suitable. Rather than wasting it, it would be better to keep it and give it to those green-horned fish dragons in the foundation building stage to eat and refine it into bait to improve their cultivation. Li Quanqing didn't expect that the 3rd level demon pill that the Shuhua sword sect had worked so hard to obtain back then would now seem a bit useless in his hands and could only be reduced to a bait. Chapter 305, Dragon Sculpture Dan. Time passed slowly, and the years passed slowly again, rolling forward. The beast tide in the outer sea finally broke out in full force, covering a million miles of boundless sea, and everywhere was filled with bloody fights between the human and demon races. The demon race's territory was shrinking day by day, and they could only consume the low-level demons that reproduced too fast in this way. The human race's high-level officials also chose this cruel method, quickly selecting a group of powerful monks, stepping on countless corpses to rise and pave the way forward. Even the two races had a common understanding, using the method of racial war to eliminate the sharp contradictions within the race and unite against the outside world. This is what caused the beast tide to erupt once every 60 years. Perhaps it was because Li Quanqing had acted decisively and fiercely before, causing too much loss to the demon race, and the battlefield in this area seemed quite calm. There were only waves of beast tides attacking day and night in a radius of thousands of miles, and there was no trace of the golden elixir demon. Perhaps it was frightened and ran to other sea battlefields. Li Quanqing was happy to relax and even gradually felt that this Jia beast tide was not as terrible as imagined. In the blink of an eye, more than half a year had passed. Li Quanqing had some free time and completely refined the snowdust heavenly clothes. He moved the snowdust mountain out of it, reconnected the earth veins, and turned it into an ice and snow island, standing in the northernmost part of the Qingyu cave heaven. The wind and snow howled, and the heavy snow flew, echoing the volcanic island in the south. The magma flowed, the smoke billowed, the fire smoke and frost collided violently in the sky, reconciling the transformation of water and fire. The Zuanming ice phoenix also placed its nest in the snowdust island, and had a place to stay. Even the cloud-stepping snow leopard came to accompany it. Perhaps it was the influence left before Nirvana. The little phoenix actually learned by itself, using ice to condense a palace, standing on the top of the snow mountain. However, in Li Quanqing's opinion, the shape of this ice and snow palace was really not flattering. It was almost like a child's graffiti. After this period of refining and practicing, the dragon flame eagle also devoured the body of the earth flame dragon cleanly, and the dragon blood in the body became more and more blazing. The monsters fought each other and devoured their original blood. This was the most primitive and effective means of evolution for the monsters. With the selfless dedication of a giant and Jia Long Yandiro finally crossed that threshold and launched a fierce attack towards the Giant realm. The breakthrough process of Long Yandio did not take place in the Hanhei Bowl. Unlike Qingyu Dangshan, it has complete rules, stable space, and vast territory, and can withstand the mighty power of Jiandan Liji. Hanhei Dangshan's foundation is too shallow. I'm afraid that before the end of the thunder, all the islands will break by themselves, and reshape the spiritual veins of heaven and earth in the light of the robbery. The guarded islands outside are also not good. There are many people and eyes, and there are many scattered cultivators. There is no guarantee that there will be any accidents. Moreover, with the great enemy Huangquan sect in front, Li Quanqing is also unwilling to reveal too many cards. The family's top combat power can be hidden as much as possible. So, he took Long Yandio to the outer sea, and found a hidden deserted island as a place to cross the robbery. As for the abundance of spiritual energy, there is no need to worry. The dragon flame eagle swallowed the top grade fire spirit stone directly into its stomach, which was equivalent to swallowing a spiritual vein. Its own demonic energy was endless. Boom. Under Li Quanqing's encouraging eyes, the dragon flame eagle no longer hesitated, and completely triggered its own calamity. Its demonic energy was like a cloud, and it spit out a golden red demon pill. Cry. The dragon flame eagle looked up to the sky and cried out. The sharp cry penetrated the thick clouds, as if it had regained its former pride. Flames gushed out of its body, like a pillar of fire that reached the sky. Trapped in the foundation building realm for so long, watching the younger generations catch up one after another. Even with the pride of the dragon flame eagle, there was some doubt about the demon life, fearing that it was not talented enough, and could not get through this bottleneck. Fortunately, Li Quanqing discovered the abnormality of the spirit eagle in time, and with the golden finger by his side, he finally led it back to the right path. Between the sky, the wind and clouds changed color, and the rolling calamity clouds were like ferocious beasts, piling up layer by layer and surging wantonly. In the inky clouds, the silver-white lightning moved like a dragon, making a deafening roar, wantonly showing destruction and majesty. Boom. When the calamity clouds gathered to the extreme, they finally broke out completely, and a thunder tore through the sky. The light was dazzling, like a sword of heavenly punishment. The dragon flame eagle, with its unyielding spirit, flapped its wings violently, and rushed towards the thunder calamity with circles of blazing fire clouds. Its pupils were golden, stretching its body to its heart's content, with red flames surging all over its body, and its wings were like two burning heavenly swords that cut through the sky and tore through the calamity light. The thunder of the sky struck one after another, majestic and vast, leaving almost no time for the creatures to breathe, and wanted to annihilate all life. Fortunately, the dragon flame eagle finally survived. Although the fiery red clouds were floating like leaves, they never collapsed, but burned the calamity clouds to ashes. Finally, with a hearty cry, the body of the dragon flame eagle appeared again from the clouds, like a golden red sun rising slowly. The red feathers fluttered, turning into a firestorm, completely burning the clouds of the sky, and the black light dissipated, turning into a deep blue sky again. Li Quanqing looked up, and saw the demon pill that had been baptized by the thunder tribulation. It was washed clean, and became more and more brilliant, and its brilliance dyed the entire sky. Cry. The dragon flame eagle raised its head, and swallowed the demon pill into its stomach. The flames all over its body intertwined, and it completely entered a new level of life. Fortunately, it succeeded. Li Quanqing exhaled a breath of turbid air, and at this time he couldn't help laughing out loud, as if relieved. The bloodline potential of the Dragon Eagle clan had been exhausted as early as the foundation building stage. The one he raised himself was able to break through the golden elixir, which was inseparable from the precious opportunities he had once had. Li Quanqing himself could not guarantee that he could raise another third level dragon flame eagle. Many of his monsters had their own unique shining points. Now that the dragon flame eagle has successfully passed the tribulation with its own blood and strength, it can leave a flame dragon demon pill to Li Kunli for refining. It can only be said that after the most primitive accumulation, the strength of the entire Qingyu Li family will grow rapidly like a snowball. As the dragon flame eagle broke through, wisps of white light bloomed from all parts of its body, and finally turned into a milky white light ball. Harvest a dragon flame eagle in the early stage of the golden elixir, and reward a 4th level lower grade heavenly sun burning world talisman. Heavenly Sun Burning World Talisman, a 4th level lower grade jade talisman that can exert the powerful combat power of a Yuanying cultivator, summon a round of Xianyang Burning World, and burn the void. It turned out to be a 4th level spiritual talisman. Li Quanqing was delighted and shocked. This 4th level spiritual talisman that can exert the combat power of the Yuanying is really rare in the world, and even the Yuanying sect must regard it as a foundation. He couldn't wait to crush the ball of light. After the light dissipated, it turned into a red jade-like spiritual talisman that was as red as fire, with the power to burn the sky. The runes as bright as stars intertwined, and were engraved deep into the red jade, interweaving into 3 golden and dazzling suns, each of which contained a powerful force that made people's heart palpitate. So that's how it is. It uses powerful spiritual jade as a carrier, not ordinary animal skin paper, so it can seal a more powerful force, and is the most stable. Li Quanqing stroked the Xianyang Burning World Talisman. This kind of jade-like spiritual talisman was the first time he had seen it. It felt very warm to the touch. The 3 golden suns represented the ability to exert 3 attacks at the level of early Yuanying cultivators. Not only could they be used separately again and again, but they could also explode all 3 rounds of Xianyang, releasing power beyond imagination. With the 4th level jade talisman in hand, Li Quanqing finally had a way to deal with the powerful Yuanying's engine. He would not become a lamb to be slaughtered. Chapter 306, Golden Elixir Discussion. When the dragon flame eagle broke through, it did not alarm anyone. On the way back, it was also smooth sailing and extremely low-key. No one knew that Li Quanqing had only been away for a short time. Not only did he have a golden elixir monster, but he also had the means to deal with Yuanying cultivators and an extra trump card among trump cards. Even in the face of a desperate situation, there was a chance to turn the tables. The combat power of the Yuanying level is truly at the top in the human world, where the gods have disappeared. Overlooking the 5 major immortal realms, billions of creatures, Li Quanqing was in a very good mood. He hummed a little song and quietly returned to the starry sky boat without making a sound. For this kind of thing, just feel good about it. With the 4th level jade talisman in hand, you can sleep peacefully. The Jade Beast tide is still continuing. Every day and night, there are monsters attacking the formation defense line. Blood dyes the sea red, and corpses are everywhere. For key refining cultivators, this is definitely a cruel test. Even building a foundation has the risk of falling. In other sea battlefields, wars between giant and creatures even broke out, spreading thousands of miles and shaking the forefields. Li Quanqing's life was still peaceful. He even thought about whether he should use the Xianyang Burning World Talisman in his hand to sneak attack a Yuanying monster for blood sacrifice. In the end, he gave up this suicidal idea. For him, the inheritance of Xiandao is not very urgent now, and he can wait. Although Bhao Shenggong only has the Jiandan chapter, it is enough to practice. He is still nearly 100 years away from Yuanying. Besides, he has no idea what treasures are hidden in the Xian ruins. Now that the 4th level spirit talisman is in hand, the threat of Huangquan sect is much smaller. Even if the Yuanying cultivator attacks, he can escape. As long as he finds an opportunity to kill the Jiandan cultivator of Huangquan sect and prevent the leakage of Li's Bihai inheritance, he can temporarily breathe a sigh of relief and practice with peace of mind. For this reason, Li Quanqing even sent people to closely monitor the group of Sita family cultivators, trying to find the mysterious Sita Luo. Unfortunately, there has been no news. In the blink of an eye, a full year had passed since everyone arrived at the outer Sita guard. According to past experience, the Jade Beast tide usually lasts for 2 years. Now that the initial brutal fighting is over, the immortal cultivators finally have a moment to rest. On this day, Li Quanqing was sitting cross-legged in the hall to practice, and a sound transmission jade talisman in the Qianqun bracelet suddenly vibrated. He was a little surprised. This was left by Zhao Qingmu, the immortal of the Gengjin sect. The two often discussed the way of alchemy, and could be called good friends. After stimulating with mana, the other party's voice came from it. It turned out that the cultivator of the Gengjin sect took advantage of the interval of the beast tide to invite friends and prepare a discussion meeting. Everyone sat and discussed the way of cultivation, broadened their horizons, and could also exchange what they had, and hold a trade fair to exchange goods. For the giant and immortals of these large sects, this is an indispensable social activity in daily life. After all, the world of immortal cultivation is not about fighting and killing, but more about human relationships. Li Quanqing was not interested at first, but then he thought that maybe he could take this opportunity to lure out Situluo and the Huangquan sect monk. Li Kundla needed to guard the battlefield, and they were afraid of the power of the Xingqian skyboat, so they would definitely not miss this great opportunity. Li Quanqing had many cards in his hand, and with the help of 4 third-level monsters, he was 99% sure of dealing with the two. So after thinking about it, he clicked on the sound transmission talisman, and agreed to the discussion meeting. In order to get Situluo to take the bait, he even deliberately sent a few clansmen to accidentally reveal his next move, which fell into the ears of those who were interested. As for whether he could catch a big fish, it was up to fate. 5 days later, Li Quanqing was ready to go, and he left the battlefield leisurely, and flew towards the Xingqian sect's base. He released Aoking, and rode on a dragon, and specifically told it not to restrain its cultivation, and openly revealed the demonic aura of the early stage of the golden elixir. Aoking's breakthrough took place in the Qingyu cave heaven, and there were many witnesses. This information was almost public. At this time, it could be used to confuse Situluo, making them think that their life-saving trump card was the golden elixir monster they carried with them. In fact, Li Quanqing had a lot of trump cards in his hand, and the Qingyu was just an open card to deceive people. Aoking flew through the clouds and mist as fast as a meteor, waving his fangs and claws, shuttling between the sky, wantonly and happily. During this period of time, it was really suffocated in the Hanhei cave heaven. The only benefit may be that there is enough monster meat, and you can eat it to your heart's content, without any limit. Li Quanqing sat cross-legged between the dragon horns, with a strong wind blowing in his face, his hair dancing wildly, and his robes rustling. He played with the Xianyang burning world talisman in his hand, his eyes drooping slightly, his consciousness intertwined like a net, closely monitoring the surrounding sky and sea water, guarding against possible attacks. As soon as Situluo and the others appeared, he would give them a fatal blow. Unfortunately, the journey was uneventful and quiet, without any accidents, and they successfully arrived at the Xingqian sect station. Starry skyboats were suspended in the sky, majestic and vast. Even the sun in the sky was obscured, which was particularly shocking. The rich starlight bloomed, diffused, and intertwined, turning into a field that enveloped this place, like a cover covering the battlefield on the sea, especially suppressing the combat effectiveness of the demon clan. In the center of the layers of skyboats, an ancient star with a diameter of thousands of miles was suspended between heaven and earth, about the same size as the moon in the previous life. Rivers fell, strange beasts galloped, mountains were majestic and intertwined, undulating like dragons, and there was no end in sight. A desolate and majestic atmosphere came over the sky. Li Quanqing was amazed. This was the place where the two Yuanying Zhenjin practiced, and they refined into a 4th level vein. The essence was rich, abundant and amazing, turning into mist entwined between the mountains and rivers. It was filled with unimaginable spirituality. A white jade palace was flying around the star, exquisite and delicate, rotating like a satellite, and it could circle once every 2 hours. This was the venue for this discussion meeting. After Li Quanqing showed his giant in cultivation and revealed his identity, he passed smoothly and landed on the square in front of the white jade palace. Aoking used his magical powers of size and size to transform into a slender green snake, wrapping around his body, with crystal scales and dragon claws swimming in the void, curiously looking around. This should be a cave magic weapon. Li Quanqing saw the door and climbed up the steps. Everything he saw was carved from jade, engraved with ancient patterns, and magnificent. He came to the front of the hall and pushed open a jade door casually, but suddenly he was stunned, and fresh water vapor hit his face. Behind the jade door, it was not a palace, but a silver white waterfall, falling from between the high cliffs, rumbling and steamy. The surrounding vegetation is flourishing, the ancient trees are towering, the birds are singing on the branches, the sounds are melodious, and the fresh fragrance of flowers is blowing in the air, and the flowers are blooming. What a vibrant world. Chapter 307. The 3 Stages of Yuanying. Li Quanqing pushed open the jade door and walked into the cave. The grass under his feet sprouted new buds and was particularly soft to step on. He looked around. This small world was not large, but it was full of vitality. There were lush vegetation everywhere, and spirit beasts were walking leisurely. The breeze blew past, and dandelions fluttered in the wind. The branches and leaves of the tree rustled, playing the music of spring. The sky above was even bluer, and the warm sunlight sprinkled down, making the whole body comfortable, and the vigorous vitality filled the body and mind. Even Aoking also loved the environment here. The dragon body was circling and entwined, like a green ribbon, chasing the scattered dandelion seeds. Another Taoist friend has arrived. The immortal light is contained, the magic power is pure, like the clear wind and bright moon, the boundless sea. Which Yuanying sect did this Zenlu come from? Hey, he even raised a 3rd level green dragon. Could it be a Taoist friend from the beast taming sect? In just a moment, Li Quanqing became the focus of everyone. He was really too young, with an immortal style and extraordinary. Moreover, his cultivation was not weak. He entered the middle stage of the golden core and had a 3rd level big monster by his side, which was enough to be called a powerful person. Li Quanqing looked up and saw that there were quite a few golden core cultivators, more than 20 of them. Everyone was scattered among the mountains, each occupying a mountain top. Some were ethereal, some were unrestrained, and gathered together to talk and laugh, without too many rules. He followed the local customs, and also chose a green sacred mountain, but unfortunately Zhao Qingmu was surrounded by cultivators, so he had to choose another place. This mountain is blessed with natural beauty. A large blue stone stands on the top of the mountain. It eats wind and drinks dew, absorbs the essence of the sun, moon, heaven and earth, and has already acquired some extraordinary spirituality. At the root of the stone, there are several clusters of Ganoderma lucidum growing wildly. They are purple, gold and red, as big as a disc, and exhale wisps of Ganoderma lucidum, which are extremely fragrant. Li Quanqing sat cross-legged on the blue rock and casually cast a spell to slowly nourish the spirituality in the stone. It can be said that he had a good impression of it. Where is this Taoist fairyland? I'm Li Qianan, and I'm from the 8 Desolations Li family. On the left side, a middle-aged man with a curly beard looked at him. He had a righteous appearance, a generous personality, a loud voice, and a familiar look. He was wearing an 8 Desolations Taoist robe, with silk threads interwoven and embroidered with thunder and a large lake. The wide sleeves could not hide his slightly exaggerated and burly muscles. 8 Desolations Li family? Li Quanqing raised his eyebrows slightly. He still remembered this Gengjin family that ruled the sea area. At the beginning, Li Quanqing had reached the great perfection of foundation building, but he had no golden elixir technique, and there was no hope for the future. Later, he was introduced by an alchemist in Hanchi Immortal City to meet a core member of the Li family and wanted to exchange for the golden elixir technique with thunder attributes. Although the negotiation broke down in the end, the arrogance and attitude of the female foundation building cultivator surnamed Li still impressed him, as if she was born superior. That was the first time Li Quanqing came into contact with the golden elixir family. Unexpectedly, now, he actually met a Li family ancestor. King Gaoli, Li Quanqing. Li Quanqing bowed his hands. His attitude was quite kind, and there was a sense of freedom in his every move. I haven't heard of it. It must be a golden elixir family in the inner sea. Li Qianan searched his memory, but unfortunately he had never heard of it. Finally, he spoke with a little regret. The Li family guards the outer sea monster clan and sits in a place. It is reasonable that they are not familiar with us inner sea cultivators. Li Quanqing chatted with him and expressed his goodwill. The 8 Desolate Li family is not weak, with 3 Gengjin Zenren, and their ancestor is a Yuanying Zenjin, with an extraordinary inheritance. Many ancient families with a heritage of more than 10,000 years will cultivate several spiritual beasts to protect the family. After all, their lifespan is much longer than that of the human race. The Li family naturally has one, and it is a thunder attribute monster, so there are many breeding experiences. Li Quanqing started from this aspect and talked in detail with Li Xiaonan. Both sides have a certain grasp of thunder methods, and they are very happy to talk. The Wind and Thunder Python King is about to face the bottleneck of the Golden Core. Even with the help of Kangpan Liki, the probability of failure is still not small. Li Xiaonan learned of his worries, but suggested that when cultivating thunder attribute monsters, they can often be sent into thunderstorms to face the power of thunder, which is conducive to surviving the great demon thunder tribulation. This is indeed a very good method. Li Quanqing decided to try it when he returned, and took the Wind and Thunder Python to actively pursue the thunderstorm on the sea. But the air vibrated, creating ripples. Suddenly, several large bees flew over here. They were as big as children, with black hair on their golden borders and colorful wings trembling rapidly. These spirit bees held a jade plate filled with fresh fairy fruits, fragrant with grass and trees, and the fragrance was pleasant. There were fresh dewdrops on the fruits. There was also a spirit beast in the shape of a hummingbird, flapping its wings, and delivering a pot of royal jelly, which was as sticky as honey and amber in color. The rich sweet fragrance also revealed a hint of mellow wine. This fellow Daoist Li, please enjoy it to your heart's content, lest people say that I'm not treating you well. An old man holding a peach wood stick smiled and spoke. He had white hair and a childlike face, and his face was ruddy. He looked like a good old man, and his cultivation was enough to be in the late stage of the golden elixir. He was the organizer of this discussion, Tao Xiao Zenran of the Xingqian sect, who was born close to the natural way. Li Quanqing thanked him for his kindness, and began to enjoy it. He teased Dao King with the spirit fruits one by one, and he was quite content. He could see that this group of Jindan monks were obviously waiting for an important guest, so they were not in a hurry, and chatted about family matters. Another 2 or 3 hours passed, and monks arrived one after another. In the end, there were more than 30 Jindan monks, which was amazing. Li Quanqing's expression suddenly changed slightly, and he keenly noticed that an extremely powerful aura descended on the entire cave. The sound of playing the piano rang out, like a mountain stream, jade falling on a pearl plate, echoing between heaven and earth, and everyone suddenly quieted down. Fellow Taoists, follow me to greet him. It's brother Zhaokan from the Changsheng Dao. Tao Xiao Zenran waved his wooden stick, and suddenly his eyebrows were full of joy, and his words revealed a touch of respect and expectation. Li Quanqing mixed in the crowd, did not stand out, followed the crowd, and looked at the newcomer curiously. In the sky, a blue phoenix descended, with an elegant and noble posture, like the legendary blue phoenix, with brilliant feathers. On the back of the phoenix, a young man with a handsome face sat cross-legged. His eyebrows were like jade, and his gentle color was fully revealed. He played the guqin in front of him with both hands. He was wearing a pure white Taoist robe, which was elegant and clean. Only the word eternal life was embroidered with black silk thread, showing the simplicity of the Great Way. Li Quanqing recognized the shape of this Taoist robe. It was exclusive to the high-level disciples of the Zhongshan Changsheng Dao, symbolizing pure yang immortality. He just took a few glances, and was secretly shocked. This Zhaokan's cultivation was really not weak. He might have reached the realm of the great perfection of the golden elixir. Moreover, he was still young, and did not have the kind of decadent air. Every move showed the style of a genius. He definitely had the capital to impact the nascent soul. Li Quanqing had not seen many immortal Taoist monks, but their characteristics were surprisingly similar. In terms of treating people and dealing with things, people felt like spring breeze, and they acted quite disciplined and methodical. Every move seemed to be following the invisible rules, and self-discipline reached the extreme. In addition, there is a similar sense of self-confidence and pride, as if there is nothing in the world that the longevity path cannot accomplish. Brave and diligent, determined to reform. Everyone, Zhao is late, please forgive me. Zhaokan showed an apologetic smile to everyone. As the most powerful person present, he was not arrogant at all and was approachable. With a wave of his sleeves, the Kingluan monster under his seat suddenly turned into a paper cut, landing on the dark red piano surface, lifelike. I dare not. I pay my respects to brother Zhao. After everyone greeted each other one by one, they finally gathered together and began to discuss the Tao. First of all, Zhao Qian and Tao Xiaozhenren gave lectures. They had profound cultivation and the journey they had taken was very inspiring to those who came later. Tao Xiaozhenren started from the early stage of the golden elixir and ended at the late stage of the golden elixir. He spoke slowly and leisurely. Then Zhao Qian continued to talk about how to polish his own golden elixir to perfection, to improve his magic power to the limit, and even tried to break the elixir to become an infant. Hearing this, Li Quanqing could not help showing a trace of surprise on his face, thinking that he had made the right decision to come to this Taoism conference. His background was too low, and after breaking through the golden core, he had to rely on himself to explore, and the entirely family ancestors could not provide any help. Not to mention how to achieve the nascent soul in the end. He was even more confused and had no idea. Now he finally saw the way forward. As a disciple of the Huashan sect, Zhao Qian had a complete inheritance and knew a lot about the secrets of the nascent soul. He did not hide anything at this time. According to him, the difficulty of the nascent soul is that there are 3 levels to overcome, and each level is more dangerous than the other. If you are not careful, you will be wiped out. Breaking the Dan to become a baby, facing the thunder tribulation, and the most important thing is, the inner demon is messing up the way. Chapter 308, The Infant Spirit. At the top of Lingshan Mountain, Li Quanqing sat cross-legged on a large bluestone, listening carefully to the discussion, concentrating on it. According to Zhao Qian, there are 3 major hurdles to break through the bottleneck of the nascent soul. To break the pill and become a baby, one needs to thoroughly polish one's own magic power golden pill and make it perfect, with the spirit, energy, and spirit united, without any leaks or flaws. Only in this way, with the Dan Qi being extremely abundant and the golden nature immortal, can one give birth to a Yuanshan baby, abandon the physical body and cross the void. Next, it is the Yuanshan Thunder Tribulation, which is a great disaster set by the heavenly power for high-level cultivators in this world. The cultivators seize the fortune of heaven and earth and nurture their own powerful spiritual energy, and the demon race is the same. Every golden pill and Yuanshan creature will consume countless essences of heaven and earth, and have a long lifespan, only knowing to take, and rarely giving back to heaven and earth. When the cultivators of the spirit transforming spirit ascend, it is equivalent to taking away a part of the origin of the world and eating it up. For this reason, the heaven and earth specially set up thunderbolts to screen out those creatures with shallow foundations, so that they would die and disappear, and in turn nourish other natural creatures. As for the last level, it is the most powerful and the most difficult to pass. The inner demon is messing with the way. The inner demon is not only dangerous, but also invisible. It often comes when the cultivator has gone through the thunderbolt with difficulty and his mind is the most relaxed. There is not much time to react. According to Zhao Qian, even if you sink in the illusion of the inner demon for hundreds or thousands of years, the time in the outside world is just a moment. If you fail to break free from the illusion, no matter how powerful your Taoism is, your soul will be taken away, and your body will become an empty shell. You will die like this. According to the ancient books, the so-called inner demon is a projection of the outer demon clan, which crosses infinite distances and affects the real body with the illusion of the mind. The demon is invisible, colorless, and formless. It is a master of illusion by nature. It likes to devour the souls of powerful creatures and tempt cultivators to go astray. I, the master of the immortal way, have always wanted to try to capture it, explore the secrets behind the inner demon calamity, and increase the probability of forming a baby for cultivators. Unfortunately, there has not been much progress. Zhao Qian said this with regret on his face, as if he was also looking forward to uncovering the true face of such a powerful creature as the demon. The illusion of the inner demon. Li Quanqing touched Zhao Qing's jade-like dragon scales, and at this time he was a little melancholy, wondering if he could get through this level. Although his own soul is powerful, it is not much stronger. Moreover, he seems to have not seen cultivators and magical powers who are proficient in illusion so far. Once he is hit, he will most likely sink directly, and it will be difficult to break free. The soul and true spirit can only become the nourishment for the growth of the inner demon. According to Zhao Qian, when these Yuanying major sects train their disciples, they will pay special attention to their character, and they will face various illusions from a young age, to deal with the calamity of the inner demon. Even so, the possibility of successfully forming a baby is pitifully small, not to mention these ordinary Gengjin cultivators who have not undergone special illusion training. Our human race has infinite means, and is proficient in the way of creation. Even if the inner demon is strong, there should be many ways to deal with it. A Gengjin Zenran asked for advice. He was also of humble origin, and had never heard of the difficulty of the inner demon. At this time, he was inevitably a little upset and his words were a little urgent. Of course there are some spiritual treasures, magical powers and elixirs have the effect of counteracting the inner demon, such as the glass relic of Buddhism, the Take Co mention mantra, and the demon breaking pill, etc. Unfortunately, the effect can only be considered average, better than nothing, and it can't increase the success rate too much. Zhao Qian responded. As expected of being a direct disciple of Huishan, he knew a lot and casually talked about many unheard of treasures. The great Dao is natural, and yin and yang complement and counteract each other. Although the inner demons are strong, the world will also breed treasures specifically for them, such as those infant forming spiritual objects. Tao Xiao Zenran took over the words at this time, and continued to preach, with a touch of eagerness in his eyes. For example, the heavenly infant Hunyuan jade, after refining, it can transform into a heavenly infant. The Hunyuan is the same, and the heart is like a baby. Even the outer demons can't do anything to it. Or the crossing destruction divine thunder, or thunder sound can penetrate life and death. Even the invisible inner demon will be severely injured, and finally have no choice but to flee. Infant forming spiritual objects? Li Quanqing raised his eyebrows. He really gained a lot of knowledge. He didn't expect that there are such treasures in the world of cultivation. He knew about the foundation building spiritual objects and the golden elixir spiritual objects, and now there are infant forming spiritual objects. Will there be spirit objects for transformation, to help the great cultivators break through the bottleneck of transformation, to stand at the top of the human world? Zhao Qian's expression remained unchanged. At the beginning of the ancient times, when the world was just created, the world of immortal cultivation was extremely prosperous, and these spiritual objects for forming infants could still be found. Now that the origin of the world is broken, it is just wishful thinking to find one. Many Gengjin cultivators were disappointed when they heard this. This was indeed the truth. Now that the environment of heaven and earth has changed, even breaking through to the spirit transformation is a luxury. Various natural materials and treasures have long been extinct, and the resources for cultivating immortals are not as good as before. There is no such thing in the world, but we can look for it outside the world. Tao Xiao Zenran smiled and said inexplicably, I heard that the last cross-world war of the Changsheng immortal dynasty destroyed a small world, and finally found a piece of Xianying Hunyuan jade? Zhao Qian glanced at him, pondered for a moment, and finally did not hide it. It is true. I have made some gains in the origin veins of that world, and found a piece of Hunyuan jade. There are many Taoist friends and sects who are eager for this infant forming spiritual object, but it's a pity that it's in vain. My Taoist master has already determined the purpose of this object, and is preparing to refine a furnace of holy infant pills. Li Quanqing was shocked when he heard it. Hunting in a world is risky and difficult, but the rewards are equally amazing. It turned out that even this ancient extinct treasure can be found. No wonder the Changsheng Dao is becoming more and more prosperous, and there is a vague trend of unifying the 5 domains, and it is the leader of the cultivation world. Holy infant pill? Tao Xiao Zenran's eyes lit up, and his breathing became rapid. But is that the peerless pill that is said to be refined by the ancient saint, which can help cultivators break through the nascent soul, be blessed by the holy light, and not fear the inner demon? Isn't it rumored that the recipe has been lost over the years? In ancient times, there was a mortal who had extraordinary comprehension, understood the nature of heaven and earth, became an immortal on the spot, transcended the ordinary, and became a saint, and ascended to heaven in one step. This person is revered as a saint, an existence that even the immortals who came to the world would be amazed by, and only exists in myths and legends. Chang Dao, excavated the ruins of the ancient sect and searched for Taoist scriptures all over the world and finally restored the recipe of the Holy Infant Pill. It's a pity that this pill is the creation of heaven and earth. Many of the raw materials have long been extinct in the world of immortal cultivation. It is too precious, so it can only be studied and improved. I wonder if I can witness this prosperity in my lifetime. Zhao Kan looked proud, sincerely proud of the strength of Chang Dao, and at the same time, accompanied by a deep expectation. At his current age, status, and cultivation, it is possible to taste the legendary divine pill, Holy Infant Pill. Li Quanqing remembered the name in his heart, and was envious. The Huashan sect was indeed extraordinary. Unfortunately, even if the Immortal dynasty could really refine it, he would not be able to get it, and even smelling the fragrance of the pill was a luxury. I just don't know where his path to forming an infant will go. A discussion about breaking through the Yuanying realm made the Gengjin Zenran fascinated, and said that their horizons were broadened. It should be known that in ancient times, these secrets of forming infants were the secrets of those powerful sects and families, and they would not tell any outsiders at all. Fortunately, the atmosphere in the world of cultivating immortals has gradually changed, and no longer treasures their own things, which can allow everyone to glimpse these secrets. After Zhao Kan and the others finished, they discussed with the Gengjin Zenran, and they successively explained their own paths of cultivation, the secrets of magical powers, or the experience of refining pills, and refining tools and other arts of cultivation. Li Quanqing was the same. After making his choice, he began to talk about some third-level alchemy techniques, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. High-level alchemists will get due respect wherever they go. They are rare talents in cultivating immortals. For a time, Lei Xiaonan and other nearby cultivators became more and more friendly to him. This sermon lasted for about half a month. Everyone talked about everything, drank and had fun. During this period, several small trading meetings were held to exchange what they had and treasures. Li Quanqing didn't think much of it. The treasures that these Gengjin Zenran took out were not worth seeing at all. He had several Yuanying spiritual treasures on him, and even 4th level spiritual talismans. Even Zhao Kan, who came from the Chang Dao, didn't have as many trump cards as him. The only benefit was that the Bao Guangchen absorbed enough treasure energy. This guy swallowed treasure energy for cultivation every day. In addition to precious treasures, he also had requirements for the types and quantities of treasure energy. The more the better. After several small trading meetings, and with the added bonus of consuming the precious energy of the nascent soul spirit treasure, Bao Guangchen finally succeeded in breaking through to the late stage of foundation building. Chapter 309 Goodbye Satu. Harvest a late stage foundation building treasure light toad, and reward the incense and fire Shinto cultivation method of the nascent soul fragment. Li Quanqing touched the gold lumps on the back of the spirit toad. His eyes were calm, and there was not much surprise. It was a standard reward. He crushed the light ball, and suddenly a three-legged golden toad statue appeared. The surface of its body was densely covered with many tadpole-like inscriptions. These Shinto cultivation scriptures covered the entire Golden Core chapter, and even some of the nascent soul fragments, which also had a lot of reference value for him. Now there is no shortage of scriptures. As long as there is enough incense and fire, the old patriarch's cultivation can also be pushed to the golden core level and sit in the family. Li Quanqing stroked the statue. For the Qingyu Li family, this was indeed good news. However, an ordinary early golden core combat power was already a little unimpressive to him, and he could completely kill in a second in a battle. He didn't care much. After the transactions of many golden core true persons were completed, this discussion conference finally came to an end. The monks all gained something, more or less, and exchanged useful treasures, not to mention the experience of discussing the Dao. Many of them are currently shouldering the responsibility of guarding the battlefield of the demon clan, and being able to spare half a month is already the limit. Therefore, they did not delay and began to return one after another after the end, leaving the Xingqian sect's residence. They will continue to deal with the upcoming beast tide, which is also the last counterattack of the demon clan in this Jiazi beast tide. Li Quanqing did the same. After saying goodbye to Zhao King Mu, he also left. Mu. Ao King roared with a dragon, and the green light swept all over his body. The demonic energy between the scales and armor scattered like clouds, soaring into the sky and disappearing into the void. The speed of King Qiu was not fast. Li Quanqing specifically reminded him that he only needed to use the speed of ordinary Chindan monks. He did not forget that he was going to catch a big fish when he came out to discuss the Dao this time. The man in the dragon did not hide their whereabouts, and the movement was not small. Any familiar monk could recognize them, and they swaggered through the clouds. Most of the day had passed, and it was getting dark. They had already walked nearly 2/3 of the way. The stars were shining overhead, and there were deserted islands scattered underfoot. The night sea was a little cool, and the evening breeze blew through the clouds and mist, lingering and sad. If I were to choose, this place would definitely be a good place for an ambush. Li Quanqing looked at the deserted islands on the sea, and muttered to himself. The sea here is remote and very close to the outer sea of the demon clan. It is quite far away from the nearby human cultivation forces. It is really a great opportunity to take action. Even if he asked Li Kunlun for help, it would take at least more than an hour, which is enough for the enemy to take action. Sure enough, the fish has taken the bait. Li Quanqing's eyes moved slightly, and suddenly a smile appeared, and he patted the King Qiu under his butt. Ao King immediately knew his master's intention, stopped, floated between the clouds, and looked around cautiously. The enemy is in front. Can you see it? Li Quanqing thought this silly and stupid. He pointed to the sky not far ahead. It was quiet in the night, with only clouds drifting by and the sound of waves. Ao King looked left and right, and finally shook his big head. He didn't see anything special, and his eyes were clear and confused. It should be a killing array. The arrangement is quite clever. It almost fooled me. Li Quanqing took out the fish dragon spear. If he hadn't been promoted to a 3rd level array master, he would probably be fooled. Although it was fishing, he would never put himself in danger. Otherwise it would be a joke to be swallowed by a big fish. He waved the long spear in his hand, and the magic power surged, turning into a stream of blue light, tearing through the clouds, and falling into the area like fireworks. With a crash, as if the curtain was torn open, the originally calm sky cracked, revealing a dark and extremely dark space. This is obviously an extremely powerful killing array, which is a space of its own, blocking everything. The grade is definitely not low, and the runes are densely packed, turning into black chains interweaving. Fellow Daoist Fang is here, come out and have a chat. Li Quanqing continued to pretend. His face was as solemn as water, and his voice shook the sky and echoed in this area. The dark formation was silent for a moment, and it was obvious that it had not expected such a change and was caught off guard. Then, the sound of rushing rivers sounded, and a blood-colored river quickly bloomed, turning into a blooming lotus, revealing the figure of Situluo. He looked at the man in the dragon not far away. His expression was cold, and the blood-colored magic power around him was surging like the sea, waiting for the master behind him to give orders at any time. Li Quanqing was also watching. He was looking for the figure of the Huangquan sect disciple. That was the big fish he wanted to catch. He didn't take Situluo alone seriously. The two sides confronted each other without saying a word. The atmosphere was tense, and the auras collided with each other, tearing the clouds and the sky into pieces. Situluo was about to take action and prepare to attack. He was just a giant and cultivator from a small family. What kind of combat power could he have? Even if the opponent has a pet to help him, he is confident that he can forcibly seize the opponent's golden elixir with his powerful magical power. But just as he was about to use his magical power, a subtle sound suddenly penetrated through the space and fell into his ears. Situluo's pupils shrank slightly, and his face showed a moment of surprise. After a moment of silence, he actually took the initiative to restrain his killing intent. Friendly, it's been a long time since we parted that day. He stood in the blood lotus, with magic light surging around him, and a hypocritical smile squeezed out of his face. Li Quanqing ignored him, but kept looking at this dark formation with his eyes, trying to find out whether the Huangquan sect cultivator was hiding in it. At this time, he could use the Xianyang Burning World Talisman to burn Situluo and the entire formation into nothingness. But if the golden elixir cultivator was not in it, not only would he fail to kill the other party, he would definitely be scared out of his wits and might directly tell the Yuanying cultivator in the Huangquan sect about the inheritance of the Blue Sea. That would be the worst situation, wasting the power of the 4th level talisman for no reason. What are you looking for, fellow Daoist? This huge formation is just something I bought recently. I chose a remote place to test its power. I didn't expect to meet fellow Daoist Li by chance. Situluo stretched out his hand and suddenly dark chains intertwined. The entire formation quickly shrank and finally turned into a small black banner and fell into his hand. No. Li Quanqing's eyes condensed, looking at the empty void, and he felt a sense of difficulty in his heart. The Huangquan monk was really hiding somewhere else. Perhaps he was confident enough to think that he could capture him alive with just one person and one formation? Since I happen to meet fellow Daoist, I wonder if the agreement we made decades ago still counts? Situluo didn't know what he was thinking. He played with the huge magic banner, and his pupils were filled with blood, revealing a hint of hostility. The life of that old man Gengjin will be taken away by my own hands. What do you think about the destruction of the Shuhua sword sect? Chapter 310 Yuanying Planning. Failed to catch the big fish of Huangquan sect's disciple, and completely solve the potential hidden dangers of his own Blue Sea inheritance. Li Quanqing was really a little uninterested. He looked at Situluo who was talking non-stop and just hummed a few perfunctorily, really too lazy to pay attention. He took action directly. The fish dragon spear in his hand roared, raised his hand, and slashed out a peerless sharp edge, cutting through the strong wind. You dare? Situluo was a little stunned. He hadn't finished his plan to retaliate against Shuhua sword sect. Why did this person in front of him turn against him? The blood and water were surging endlessly, and there were white bones and corpses floating in the water, turning into a blood lotus covering the sky, blocking the front. To Situluo's surprise, this attack was so powerful that it almost split the entire lotus and hurt his body. He originally thought that, even if he lost the help of the formation, he could still take down the opponent with his own nascent soul inheritance. At this time, it was obviously a slap in the face. I've been wanting to beat you up for a long time, because I'm not happy with you. Li Quanqing didn't show any mercy when he attacked. He used all his strength to activate the magic weapon. The long spear in his hand was as sharp as frost, and it was filled with a murderous aura. The water flowed all over the sky, and it was like a surging tide, covering the sky and the sun. The raging waves were enough to crush everything in front of him. Situluo struggled to hold on, and the blood and water around him surged, turning into lotuses one after another, and then they were all broken under the pressure of the sea water. In the end, Li Quanqing smashed the blood lotuses all over the sky, and the long spear was crisscrossed, directly cutting the opponent in half, and his organs were visible. Unexpectedly, the blood surged at Situluo's wound, and it directly turned into a bloody body, condensing again not far away, with a look of resentment. You still don't want to come out? Li Quanqing frowned. It seemed that, even if he beat this guy to death, it would be difficult to catch the big fish. Li Quanqing. I will remember this battle. I will make sure you die without a burial place in the future. Situluo roared, his face pale and ferocious, obviously injured. His body suddenly exploded, and under the cover of the lotus, it turned into blood all over the sky. The blood fled quickly, like thousands of fish, swimming in all directions, making it difficult to detect the real body of this guy. What a weird life-saving magic. It's a bit tricky. Li Quanqing rubbed his hands together, and suddenly the sky was full of Gishu divine thunder, and the lightning shuttled through the sea water, blasting drops of blood into pieces. He naturally had more efficient means, the Yuanying Lingbao Bingsu and Angshan Mirror, which directly froze thousands of miles in an instant, and was definitely the nemesis of this magic. But that was the trump card, and it would be more costly to expose it at this time. In the end, Situluo still escaped, and his vitality was greatly depleted, which was embarrassing. The disciple of the Yuanying sect is only at this level? He is indeed a fake. No wonder he has become someone else's slave. Li Quanqing shook his head, feeling a little disappointed with this guy's strength. Aoking sensed his master's emotions, shook his head and tail, left without looking back, and continued to fly towards the front line of the battlefield. The remaining blood crossed the sea, traveled thousands of miles, and finally turned into Situluo's figure again. He gritted his teeth and his pupils were about to spit fire. In this battle, his losses were not small, and he needed to recultivate those blood drops to save his life. My Huanquan heart was not wrong. I took the initiative to warn you. That guy definitely has the ability to kill you. He is worthy of the inheritance of the Blue Sea. He is really cunning and hides very deeply. Suddenly, a drop of blood quickly changed color and turned into a sticky yellow mud spring water. A sinister voice came out from it. Master. Situluo's expression changed slightly, and he lowered his head in a hurry, extremely respectful. Thank you for reminding me, Master, and successfully saving my life. The Huanquan sect disciple hummed, and didn't say much. He didn't know where he was, but he communicated with him through this drop of Huanquan water. If you miss this opportunity, Master will have to spend some time to plot the inheritance of the Blue Sea. Situluo spoke carefully, trying to figure out the mind of this demon, who was really moody and unpredictable. The more difficult it is, the more interesting I find it. The feeling of picking sweet fruits after trying my best is really intoxicating. The Huanquan disciple laughed strangely. His voice was hoarse and unpleasant, like two pieces of iron rubbing against each other, which made people shudder. He was gifted, and when he built his foundation, he cultivated a Huanquan heart, which could perceive the warning between life and death, and avoid many fatal crises in advance. It was this spiritual perception that made him realize the danger of Li Quanqing, so he did not take the initiative to join the game, but hid in the dark to spy. Even at this time, he did not really show his traces to Situluo, fearing that he would be killed by a surprise attack, and was extremely cautious. The treasure passed down by the ancestors of the Li family may be a treasure of Cheyenne. It seems that we need to make a long-term plan. Li Quanqing was still quite regretful that he did not catch the big fish he wanted, but he could do nothing about it. These demon cubs really cherish their lives more than each other, and they love to hide in the dark and use tricks, which makes people hard to guard against. However, as long as the other party still covets the inheritance of the Blue Sea, they will definitely come again, so there is no need to rush. Ao King cut through the sky, shuttled through the night, and safely arrived at the sea battlefield, where the Li family was stationed, and landed on the surface of a silver-white star sky boat. Li Quanqing looked at the sea not far away. It was late at night, but there were still waves of monsters attacking desperately, almost tirelessly. There are too many lower level monsters. Adult monsters have the strength of ki refining at the lowest level. They are not like humans who have different spiritual roots. It can be seen that the human cultivators stationed on the island are a little numb, accustomed to the blood and madness of the monsters. Li Quanqing put the King Gaiu Qiu into the Hanhei bowl, went deep into the Cheyenne Sao, and went all the way to the core hall. Li Kunlun was sitting here, meditating and practicing, while guarding the 4th level spiritual treasure Hualang Pool, which is the energy core of the entire star. He opened his eyes and asked with a smile, "What did you gain from this discussion?" "The harvest is not small. I learned a lot of the secrets of the nascent soul." Li Quanqing also sat cross-legged in the hall, without hiding anything, and told the truth about the 3 levels of the nascent soul, the spirit objects that break the infant, and the holy infant pill. Li Kunlun listened very seriously, and took out the jade slips, recorded all these secrets, and kept them as the family heritage. Breaking the Dan, and becoming a nascent soul, I'm afraid there will be no hope of a breakthrough in my lifetime. Li Kunlun stroked the jade slip and finally sighed, looking a little lacking in confidence. Although he was an earth spirit root, he had been practicing day and night in recent years, and he also felt that his potential was about to be exhausted. Whether he could break through the late giant in the future was another matter. Li Quanqing was also silent. If he could not use the spirit beasts in the Hanhei bowl to open those treasures that assisted in forming a nascent soul in the future, he would definitely not dare to break through by himself. At that time, the only thing he could do might be to search the world for late foundation building monster beasts, cultivate them to break through the giant, so as to harvest more high quality light balls and plan the nascent soul road. He was just a middle grade spirit root, and it was a fluke to cultivate the giant. If he wanted to condense the nascent soul, he could only rely on cheating. Li Quanqing still had this self-knowledge. Fortunately, he was young enough. He was only over 80 years old now, which was the age to work hard, and he had a long lifespan. In the future, he would have plenty of time to cultivate many third level monsters. Coupled with the inheritance in the Shyandao ruins, the probability of condensing the nascent soul in the future is very high. By then, he will truly stand at the top of the human world and overlook the 5 realms of immortal cultivation. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311 Blood Sacrifice Yuanying. After Li Quanqing returned, the beast tide, which had been easing its offensive, became fierce again, and began its final frenzy. In the Li family's sea area, golden elixir monsters would occasionally appear, but they all ran away in the end, as if they were here to fish in the water. 3 months later, the Jia beast tide had reached a truly tragic moment, a meat grinder. What surprised Li Quanqing a little was that Situluo had been seriously injured by him before, but he didn't expect that he would still attack in the end. In a very common beast tide without any signs, a golden elixir monster suddenly appeared and went crazy, and directly swallowed Gengjin Zenran. Gengjin was a fake elixir cultivator, and his combat power was not strong. In addition, the monster had thick skin and flesh, and suddenly attacked. He died directly in the monster's belly, and turned into a pool of pus and blood. This incident happened quite suddenly, and the entire Shuhua sword sect suffered heavy losses. Many foundation building cultivators died in this battle, and the last foundation was completely lost. Without a Gengjin Zenran in charge, Gengjin sect had no choice but to send another cultivator to preside over the formation and resist the demon clan. As for Shuhua sword sect, it withdrew sadly, carrying the disciples who survived by chance, retreated from the battlefield, and returned to the Shuhua Sea. But anyone with a discerning eye could see that after this battle, Shuhua sword sect had completely fallen. If a Gengjin could not appear again in a short period of time, it might face the crisis of the sect's destruction. When Li Quanqing heard the news, it was the Li family spies who sorted out the intelligence and presented it. He did not have much emotional fluctuations. The Sitter family had grievances and revenges, as long as they did not involve the Li family. Now that there is no Jianzhong's constraints, King Gaiu Li can finally let go of the pace of expansion and completely unify tens of thousands of miles of sea. It truly has the power and resources of the Gengjin clan. It is also in this context that the entire Jia beast tide has completely reached the most intense stage. The third level monsters appeared one after another, and the human and monster races were completely bloodthirsty. Occasionally, you could hear the fall of the golden elixir, the loss of the front line, and heavy losses on both sides. Even in the end, a war between Yuanying creatures broke out. On this day, Li Quanqing was meditating and practicing in the Xianzhao. Suddenly, there was a loud rumbling sound, followed by a violent tide of spiritual energy, sweeping in like a tidal wave. The terrible power spread in all directions, covering the vast sea area, like the collapse of the sky and the crack of the earth. One after another, shocking magic power spread in all directions, setting off a raging wave. Under the disorder of the essence of heaven and earth, all the key refining monks who were practicing in seclusion in this sea area were affected. At the least, the magic power was disordered, and blood was vomited from the mouth. At the worst, the meridians were shattered, the liver and gallbladder were about to burst, and they were seriously injured on the spot. It turned out to be a battle between Yuanying. Li Quanqing and Li Kunlun stepped into the void and looked at the boundless sea. Even though they were separated by tens of thousands of miles of sea, they still had lingering fears. It looks like the Xian Sea. Li Quanqing looked up and suddenly his heart skipped a beat. He had a hunch and a premonition. Before he could think about it, the world shook violently. At the end of his vision, the magic power was brilliant, like several rounds of blazing suns bursting out, releasing unparalleled destructive power. Finally, accompanied by an angry roar, a nascent soul creature fell, and blood-colored rain fell, stretching for thousands of miles. Li Quanqing looked at this scene, and his experience in the Shyandao ruins that day suddenly emerged in his mind. A word popped into his mind. Nascent soul blood sacrifice. Blood sacrifice to the great demon. Someone is trying to open the Shyandao inheritance. Yes, there are more than just me who have left the Shyandao. There must be other cultivators who can also discover the secrets of the ruins. Besides, the only one who can complete this blood sacrifice ritual of the nascent soul is the powerful 4th level sect. 4C sect. In an instant, Li Quanqing guessed the other party's identity, and was very sure. As the remnant of the Shyandao, the Sahai sect must know much more secrets than him, and may have explored this place countless times. The only thing that puzzled him was why the Sahai sect did not hold a blood sacrifice ceremony for so many years, but waited until now. The blood-colored rain was gurgling, and dazzling lightning flashed, as if the sky was crying, and the sky was cracked open, completely covering a range of thousands of miles. Li Quanqing couldn't help but think of the purple blood sea where the Li family was located. It was rumored that a powerful creature had fallen there, dyeing the sea water into a weird purple-red color. The question he faced now was whether to join in the fun. If it was really the Sahai sect, there must be several nascent soul masters in charge. How could he, a small golden elixir, possibly snatch it? Perhaps I can sneak into the ruins through the secret altar with the Cheyenne order and take this opportunity to start the second inheritance trial. Li Quanqing was extremely entangled in his heart. Although he did not kill the Yuanian great monster, the blood sacrifice had been completed, so he should also be qualified to participate, right? While he was hesitating, new changes appeared at the end of the sky. I saw the endless sea water rushing up to the sky, just like a blue pillar of heaven, connecting the heaven and the earth. Majestic and vast, the endless water waves wandered and changed, turning into a number of Dao marks imprinted in the void. The waves surged, the runes intertwined, and the endless spiritual energy poured out like a surging tide, and the ancient ruins that had been dusted for years saw the light of day again. A magnificent thought rumbled, and instantly spread across the 100,000-mile sea area, resounding in the minds of countless creatures. The Shyandao lineage is open today. Anyone who is predestined can inherit it. Now is the time for the war between the human and demon races, and the 100,000-mile radius is the most densely populated battlefield for cultivators. Now, such a huge movement, like a wildfire, instantly spread to every corner of the battlefield. For a moment, magic weapons flashed in the sky, sword lights crisscrossed, and various flying magic weapons whizzed past, leaving a series of gorgeous tails. The densely packed monks were all crazy, with greed and blazing desire flashing in their eyes. One wave after another, they flew up like locusts, endlessly. Even those intelligent monsters were crazy, and swam towards the Cheyenne Sea, also wanting to get a piece of the pie. Li Quanqing exhaled a breath of turbid air, with a hint of helplessness in his expression. He didn't expect the movement to be so big. In his Kyankan bracelet, the sound transmission jade talismans vibrated endlessly. They were all giant and Zenran he had met before. Everyone was frantically spreading the news of the Cheyenne ruins. If he didn't join in the fun now, he would be regarded as an alien. Together, he looked at Li Quanqing, who was also very excited at this time. He looked at the sea area with his magic power surging. The other party was also not a stable guy. When Li Quanqing was building his foundation, he dared to venture into the outer sea alone, in order to seek the formation of Dan, not to mention this great opportunity of the birth of an ancient sect. If he took a gamble, he might be able to glimpse his own nascent soul opportunity. This was the madness of the ancient sect's relics, enough to make any cultivator greedy. Although Li Quanqing was tempted, he was also a little hesitant. I still have to stay on the battlefield. If the monster tribe takes the opportunity to attack, I may be held accountable by the Star Sect. The law does not hold everyone responsible. So many cultivators have rushed over. What problems can arise? And I plan to leave Aoking behind, to stay on the starry sky boat for us. Even if a beast tide takes the opportunity to attack, it doesn't matter, Li Quanqing said. He knew the rules of the Shyandao inheritance. External objects like the sky boat and monsters are useless. Moreover, there are too many high-level cultivators on the battlefield now. The foundation building cultivators are just slightly larger ants, and those Li family members don't have to go. In the end, Li Quanqing agreed to his suggestion, and the two of them traveled together and flew towards the Shuhua Sea. Chapter 312. The ruins open. Li Quanqing and the other person shuttled across the sea. Feng Zhu flew in the wind, turning into a light that cut through the sky and flew towards the direction of the Cheyenne Sea. Thanks to the superior geographical environment, they were very close to the ruins and were the first group of monks to arrive. It's really this sea area. Li Quanqing looked around the familiar environment and recognized this place. He knew that there was an underwater secret passage that connected the inland sea and went straight to the Qingyu Li clan's base camp. He couldn't help but glance at Li Quanqing next to him. He always felt that this clan member had hidden many secrets and knew a lot about this place. Crash. The blood-colored rain fell from the sky, crackling, just like a blood sea waterfall, drowning everything in front of him. The sky was covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, and the scene was terrible. In the center, the seawater was surging endlessly, turning into waves, and condensing into a water column that covered the sky, which was extremely thick. The azure water column pierced through the clouds, absorbed the blood water in the sky, and sacrificed the immortals. An ancient pressure spread out. There are also water currents swirling, turning into dragon-like patterns, winding in the air, shaped like rivers flowing, and evolving the traces and rhymes of the great way of water. It's those Yuanying's engine. Li Quanqing and the other person bathed in the majestic blood rain and landed on a deserted island cliff, looking at it, not daring to get close. At the entrance of the ruins, two Yuanying Zenren guarded the void, sitting cross-legged with their eyes closed, and the magic power and spiritual light around them bloomed. Under their feet, a Yuanying big demon bowed its head, shaped like a crocodile, but with dragon horns, and its body was as big as a mountain. The corpse sank and floated in the sea water, and the majestic blood rushed to the sky. Even if it died, there was still that kind of terrible fierceness, which made people tremble with fear. Why don't they go in? Are they going to block the entrance to the ruins and refuse other cultivators to explore? Li Quanqing's heart sank slightly. At this time, it might be a good choice to open the altar transmission formation. Tian's engine was shrouded in moonlight and wearing a divine ring. Looking at the human cultivators who came one after another, he was quite helpless at this time. It's not that they don't want to enter, but the Cheyenne ruins actively resisted and could only tolerate one Yuanying cultivator to enter. There was no such restriction for Gengjin cultivators. As more and more Gengjin cultivators gathered, the atmosphere became more and more subtle, and their eyes intertwined with each other, slightly obscure. With the opportunity of the great Dao in front of them, everyone's rationality was almost crazy, and the air was filled with murderous intent. Even if an immortal blocked the way, they dared to go in. Li Quanqing took Li Quanqing and retreated, fearing that he would be affected and slapped to death by the Yuanying cultivator. There were more and more cultivators, and even the two powerful Zenjins changed their colors slightly at this time. A Yuanying from the Sihei sect had already entered. They blocked the entrance at this time, more to create an opportunity for him to inherit the Cheyenne Dao lineage. Just when the atmosphere was tense, finally, a Yuanying cultivator arrived here, riding a dragon, with extremely strong magic power, as brilliant as the sun. Cheyenne Long's engine. Li Quanqing recognized the other party. It was a Yuanying's engine from the beast taming sect. He had a powerful cultivation base and a 4th level war pet. What do you mean, fellow Taoists? Now that the Cheyenne ruins have been revealed, anyone who is predestined can enter. Why block people's way? Cheyenne Long's engine looked smiling, but his eyes were forcing the other party. He used the righteousness to pressure the other party and won the praise of all the casual cultivators. Tens of thousands of cultivators shared the same hatred and directly pushed the Sihei sect to the opposite side. Facing the burning gazes of the sky, Tian's engine was somewhat helpless and had to tell the truth. To be honest, although the Cheyenne ancient sect has opened its inheritance, it prohibits Yuanying cultivators from entering and not approaching. Is this true? Cheyenne Long's engine frowned, stepped forward to touch the Tangshan water column, and used his magic power to touch those Dao marks. Let me try. As expected, he also failed, and did not successfully enter the ruins. He was repelled by an inexplicable force. The legendary Cheyenne Road. If I'm not mistaken, someone from the Sihei sect should have already entered. True Lord Xianlong looked at the corpse of the 4th order great monster under his feet and said with certainty, with the blood sacrifice of a great monster, plus your sect's special inheritance, we can at least ask for a quota. It's not just which Taoist friend? True Lord Taiyin was silent for a moment, but he still did not hide it. It was True Lord Xianyi, who has been in there for about half an hour. So it was him. These cultivators have fought against the monster clan and have made great contributions. Since the Sahei sect has taken the lead, they should be given a chance to compete fairly. Looking at the many cultivators on the sea below, True Lord Xianlong suddenly waved his sleeves and told the truth. This relic has its own restrictions. Yuanying is not allowed to enter. All Jiandan cultivators are preparing to enter to inherit the ancient Taoist tradition of our human race. Foundation building cultivators should enter with caution. As soon as the words fell, it immediately caused thunderous cheers. Even those key refining cultivators were gearing up for it, regardless of the danger. How could the ancient relics, that even the Yuanying Zenjin coveted, be extraordinary? Seeing this, Taiyin Zenjin could not continue to block it, so he acquiesced and took the initiative to open the entrance. Fortunately, there was no Yuanying war. Li Quanqing breathed a sigh of relief, no longer hesitated, and took the initiative to fly towards the sky-covering water column. Under the protection of the 3 Yuanying Zenjins, countless cultivators flew into the water column like locusts and disappeared without a trace. Roar. Unexpectedly, the monsters lurking in the deep sea also became manic at this moment, making bursts of roars and trying to force their way in. A bunch of evil beasts, wishful thinking. Taiyin Zenjin snorted coldly, and the moonlight in his palm bloomed like a death sickle, accurately harvesting the lives of these monsters. Quack. Blood sacrifice to the great demon, killing my son, do you, the 4C sect, want to start another 1,000-year war? The cry shook the sky, and a golden crow with flames all over its body suddenly appeared, and the demonic energy soared into the sky, like a golden sun descending here. I didn't expect that the Xiandao destroyed by the Immortal Demon Lord still had a backup plan. Rush in and completely cut off this line of human inheritance today. A large piece of dark clouds covered the sky, making the sun and the moon dim. It was a Yuanying great demon with endless sight, rising above the 9 heavens, with eyes like 2 blood moons hanging high, looking down at everyone coldly. In addition, in the distance, there were demonic energy soaring into the sky and roaring continuously. After all, this is the demon clan's base camp, and there is no shortage of great demons. Xianlong's engine was about to scold, but suddenly he had a whim and found something strange. The Qiang Xianlong wrapped around him raised his head at this time, and the dragon eyes looked at a certain empty space and opened his mouth to spit out flames all over the sky. Crackling. The flames burned fiercely. The temperature was so high that even the void collapsed, revealing a 4th level demon python hiding in it. The whole body of this big demon was dark purple, like a faint shadow, with silver light blooming all over its body, wandering between the gaps in the void, thus avoiding the blockade of several Yuanying's engine. Hiss. The next moment, the demon python twisted its body, as if it was shedding its skin, and silver white patterns bloomed all over its body, suddenly distorting the space, and crashed into the water column. Chapter 313, Battle of Huangquan. Facing the big demons breakout, wandering in the void, and crashing into the sky-covering water column, Qianlong and the others didn't care at first. After all, Yuanying creatures are forbidden to enter, and the demon race is the biggest enemy of Xiandao. The destruction of the Dao in the past was related to it. Unexpectedly, in the next moment, the water ripples, and this 4th level demon python that controls the power of space actually broke into the ruins and disappeared completely. All the human cultivators were dumbfounded. Quack. Seeing this, the golden crow demon suddenly became more urgent, waving his wings. Thousands of feathers bloomed, like a golden flame fairy sword, also wanting to plot the inheritance of Xian. Qianlong's engine would not allow it, and took the initiative to meet him, and restrained the battlefield above the clouds, to avoid affecting too many human cultivators. Several Yuanying creatures collided, and the wind and clouds were stirred. This sea area broke out again with an amazing battle, which was even more terrible than before. A little fluctuation of mana could severely damage the golden elixir. Without the human Yuanying, the 3rd level monsters could no longer be controlled. They came out of the sea and spread all over the sky. At this moment, both the human and monster races were crazy. There was no order at all. They killed each other. "Get in," Li Quanqing said, and directly used the void scissors to force a bloody path, cross the void, and successfully jump into the ruins. The two of them got into the water column, and the magic power resonated with the runes, and waves covered their bodies. In an instant, the sky and the earth turned, and a familiar feeling came, as if standing in a land of nothingness without gravity. Crash. The familiar sound of the waves surged into his ears. He opened his eyes, and saw the familiar scenery again. The sea and the sky were connected, as if there was no end. "Sure enough, I'm here again." Li Quanqing stood up and sat up. Wisps of sea water flew around him, as if he had a spiritual little snake, and the spiritual power of water attribute was naturally friendly. He looked around. He had clearly entered here at the same time as Li Kunlun, but now he was nowhere to be seen, leaving him alone. Everyone's assessment is done individually. Li Quanqing collected his thoughts, took out the Cheyenne token, and tried to speak. "I want to start the second level of the trial." Although this nascent soul blood sacrifice was not started by him, he also wanted to give it a try at this time, just in case it was useful. Buzz. The Cheyenne token made a light sound, and suddenly rose into the sky under the invisible force. The water streams gathered, and turned into a line of text. "Confirm that the nascent soul blood sacrifice has been completed, and the mana bloodline verification has passed. Do you want to start the second level of inheritance trial? It really can." Li Quanqing's eyes were happy, no longer hesitant, and nodded heavily. "Start. Please choose one of the following opponents. After defeating or killing the opponent, you will have the qualification to open the third level inheritance treasure house once." Li Quanqing watched the water flow constantly changing, showing various texts. "I don't know if it's an illusion. He always feels that this time the inheritance rules are much more flexible than before, and no longer so rigid. It's like he has more choices." The seawater rose to the sky and turned into an elliptical water mirror, revealing the scenes inside, each different. Li Quanqing looked around and saw that all the creatures that appeared in the water mirror were at the giant and great perfection realm. Most of them were demons, and there were only a few human cultivators, and they were all demon cultivators with profound cultivation. Just like the first time he entered the ruins, both the demons and cultivators were in a similar sea space at this time, fighting with the enemy. The enemy of the demons was the giant and human race, and the opponent of the cultivators was the third level big demon. It seemed that this was set up intentionally, to create a bloody battle between humans and demons. Please choose your opponent from them. The last opponent was the Earth Flame Dragon. Like me, he was at the middle stage of the Gengjin realm, but this time he was at the giant and great perfection realm. It's a test of my ability to fight against higher levels. I just don't know if I can use the Yuanying spirit treasure, or can I only use my own magic power like last time. Li Quanqing fell into deep thought. When the demons could not use magic weapons, they had strong bodies, innate magic arts, noble bloodlines, and their combat effectiveness was generally stronger than that of humans of the same level. The most dazzling thing about the human race is their extraordinary speed of cultivation and powerful creativity. They can use external objects such as alchemy arrays and symbols to kill enemies above their level. Hey, even this guy has come in. Li Quanqing's eyes swept across the water mirror and suddenly stopped, and he found a familiar figure. It was the Huangquan sect cultivator from before, who was now killing a third level monster. The Huangquan magic power was dead and dark, and could devour life. Just choose him. After looking at all the targets, Li Quanqing made his own decision. This guy was hiding in the dark, and he was a great threat to him. He might report the matter of the Bahai inheritance to the Huangquan sect at any time. Now there is a chance to fight to the death, and there is no need to worry about the other party escaping. Naturally, he cannot miss such a good opportunity. Li Quanqing's fingertips burst with magic power, shattering other water mirrors and determining his target. Target locked, Huangquan Demon Sect's direct disciple, with the cultivation of Gengjin Dacheng. It is detected that the trial disciple is a Bahai inheritance, and the blue sky and Huangquan will not meet. The hidden task clean up the traitors is triggered, and the difficulty of the inheritance trial is reduced. Please use all your means to kill the enemy. The death of one party will be regarded as automatic victory. The Cheyenne order hunt, and the words that appeared this time were extremely numerous, and the people who read it were overwhelmed. Cleaning up the traitors? Li Quanqing raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect there would be such a surprise. He had guessed the origin of the Huangquan sect. It was once one of the Cheyenne Dao inheritances. Later, it betrayed the sect and fell into the devil's way, becoming one of the ancestral temples of the devil. As the Huangquan sect disciple in the water mirror killed the third level monster, the next moment the sea water surged, directly wrapped him up, and disappeared from the spot. Li Quanqing looked at the area dozens of miles away, where the water flow converged, and vaguely condensed into a human figure, wearing a yellow robe and a raging demonic aura. He did not hesitate, and directly used the void scissors to cut through the sky, turning into a silver light, with unparalleled sharpness, and went straight to the other party's belly, the golden elixir. Ding! Exclamation mark. Unexpectedly, a rich black light bloomed, and a pitch black demon dragon suddenly flew out from the other party's sleeve, directly knocking the silver white spiritual scissors away. Nascent soul spirit treasure? Li Quanqing's eyes fixed, and he held the void scissors in his hands, completely restraining his underestimation of the enemy. So it's you, Cheyenne order. It's really the inheritance of the blue sea. The demon dragon roared, and its scales were furious, and finally turned into a black halberd, with demonic light surging and ringing in the ears. The withered yellow light dissipated, revealing the true face of this person, who was really shockingly young, with red lips and white teeth, a face like a crown of jade, and a smile that had a bit of the flavor of a jade-faced scholar. He held the demon dragon halberd, and it looked like a scholar wielding a weapon. The whole weapon was much larger than his body. If it weren't for the demonic energy surging all over his body, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that this person is a disciple of the righteous way, and his temperament is as gentle as jade. You have been spying on my Li family for so long, and now it is finally the first time we meet. Li Quanqing also took out the fish dragon spear, and the sea water behind him roared, and turned into the eye of the storm. Tell me your name. I'm Gengjin, the holy son of the Huangquan sect. Chapter 314. Kill the Big Trouble. The holy son of Huangquan? Who are you trying to fool? You are just one of the candidates. Li Quanqing played with the void scissors, and revealed the truth. He once saw Situluo flattering him, and congratulating him on his chance to win the position of the holy son, so it was clear that he was just a backup candidate. Ziheng frowned slightly. The position of the holy son was a secret within the sect. How did this person know it? The Behe lineage should have fallen long ago. Could there be a hidden force lurking in the dark, spying on the Huangquan sect? He couldn't figure it out. He always felt that something was wrong. At this time, he had to suppress it temporarily and look at the surrounding environment. He was teleported here directly just now and was suddenly attacked. At this time, he finally understood his current situation. It seems that you chose me as your opponent. Is it to start the inheritance trial of the real Cheyenne ruins? Gengjin spoke tentatively, trying to get information. Deep in his heart, there was even a hint of joy. This kind of inheritance trial is often to weigh. According to the tradition of ancient monks, if he can kill the Li family monk in front of him, he can also have the qualification to inherit the relics. Although the Huangquan sect had long since rebelled against the Cheyenne Dao and fell into the demon sect, the skills were inherited from the same lineage, and they also inherited a certain kind of true water power. Li Quanqing did not say anything, although it was somewhat unexpected that this person mastered the Yuan Yingling Bao. His trump card was more than that. In a moment, he chose to show his cards, released all the third level monsters, and decided to choose to fight this despicable and shameless demon monk. The void butterfly flapped its silver white wings and floated under his feet. Its pupils were shining silver and possessed the power to disturb the void. The Zuanming Ice Phoenix and the Dragon Flame Eagle guarded on the left and right, one blue and one red, water and fire working together, each surging with powerful and blazing demonic energy. Fighting 4 giant creatures alone, even Gengjin felt great pressure and felt the long-lost crisis of death. The sky-shattering demonic array. Gengjin did not sit still and wait for death. As a direct disciple of the hidden demon sect, he also had a lot of experience. He raised his hand and took out a small black banner. The demonic banner rustled, and the infinite dark light surged endlessly. The runes intertwined and turned into chains that stretched in all directions, turning into a dark space to suppress all enemies. This third level formation was once controlled by Situluo, who tried to use it to ambush Li Quanqing, but unfortunately failed. In the end, it was taken back by Gengjin and now showed its powerful power. Cry. The Zuanming Ice Phoenix flapped its wings and cried loudly. After all, it was not very old, so it was a little eager to try. An ice blue treasure mirror appeared above its head, freezing thousands of miles. This was the Yuan Yingling Bao Bingsu and Angshan mirror, which was given to the Ice Phoenix by Li Quanqing to use. It could activate great power. Snap. Snap. Endless cold air surged, a vast expanse of white, terrifying and fascinating. Even the void and darkness were frozen and shattered into powder. Crash. Although Bingfeng was young, he had extremely strong combat power. The spirit mirror rose and fell, and blue-white cold light kept shooting out from the mirror, directly shattering those dark chains, trying to disintegrate the entire formation. Chiji. The pupils of the void butterfly turned, and it keenly sensed the opportunity. Ripple spread all over its body, like a silver-white sword light, fiercely piercing into the sky, shaking magic formation, shaking the void. This kind of portable formation is a space of its own, blocking the world, and is extremely dependent on the power of space. At this time, it suffered heavy damage one after another, and with a click, it cracked several spider web-like large holes, and black light surged and dissipated from it. Go. Silently, the void scissors in Li Quanqing's hand disappeared, turning into a small silver light that drilled into the crack in the formation, trying to cut off the enemy's head. Ding ding dang dang. Unexpectedly, Gengjin threw out the magic dragon halberd in his hand, which turned into a pitch black dragon circling around, protecting his entire body tightly. The void scissors came and went without a trace, and even though they could cut off the dragon scales and leave deep scars on the magic halberd, they were slapped away by the spirit of the dragon halberd in an instant. Even on the body of the magic dragon, the cracks cut by the void were slowly recovering, and they actually had the ability to heal themselves. What a powerful 4th level spiritual treasure. Li Quanqing was a little surprised. This magic halberd was incredibly powerful and full of spirituality. It was much more powerful than the 4th level lower grade spiritual treasures such as the void scissors. This magic dragon halberd is the natal spiritual treasure of an ancient great demon in my Huangquan sect. When it was refined, it was mixed with dragon scales of the incarnation level, and a 4th level dragon was sacrificed as a weapon spirit. How can you imagine its power? Gengjin was protected by the spirit of the magic dragon halberd, and he remained calm in the face of danger. He even had the mind to talk to him. His tone was gentle, and he looked quite polite. The yellow spring is surging. He urged his own golden elixir to transform into the yellow spring water all over the sky, surging and rolling, drilling out from the gap of the demon dragon's body, carrying surging death energy, and began to repair the vast formation. Gengjin tried to leave the void scissors. The yellow spring magic power entangled and cooperated with the magic formation to suppress the world, but unfortunately the silver light was crisscrossed, tearing the void, and the void scissors drilled out directly from the formation. The yellow spring water was everywhere, like sticky muddy water, and the breath of death was rolling, which could actually devour vitality and turn the human and demon bodies into white bones and mud. Long Yandao was eager to succeed. Seeing that the formation was about to be restored, he kept flapping his wings, wanting to fight with his flesh and engage in a righteous group fight. Li Quanqing refused. Those yellow spring magic powers eroded the flesh and devoured the vitality. Even if the golden core demon fell into it, it would be turned into a dry skeleton if it was not careful. What a powerful and difficult enemy. He had to sigh that the disciple of the Yellow Spring sect in front of him was definitely the most powerful guy he had ever seen. With the perfect cultivation of Gengjin, plus the 4th level spiritual treasure and powerful magic array, he already has some of the demeanor of a Yuan great cultivator. Even though his offense is a little insufficient, he is helpless in terms of defense. Gengjin also knows this, so he is not in a hurry to succeed. After all, he is not the one participating in the trial, so he can only compete with the strongest mana. In this inheritance trial, as long as he does not lose, he will win. Crash. The boundless sea water surged and turned into a giant sea, wrapping Li Quanqing's body and restoring his consumed mana. For a giant and cultivator, it is not easy to activate the 4th level spiritual treasure, which requires a lot of energy. He swallowed and exhaled the sea water, refined it into water essence, and made up for the consumption. Then he used the dead wood to spring up and consume the physical strength of several spirit beasts. I have to consume this thing after all. With the help of the giant sea to block and spy, he raised his hand and took out the Xianyang Burning World Talisman and finally made a decision. With the cultivation of the middle stage of the Golden Core, he was able to fight the big demon on equal terms, which was already a very good performance. Li Quanqing originally thought that with 2 spiritual treasures in his hands and the assistance of the demon beast, he could always wear down the opponent. It would be better to keep this 4th level Jade Talisman to deal with the next inheritance trial, which might face the test of the Yuanying level. Unfortunately, although he was cheating, in a sense, these favored sons of heaven who came out of the Yuanying sect can also be called the cheaters of this world. If you want to really kill the opponent, you can only use this real trump card. His cheat is not big enough. Li Quanqing's mana surged, and he directly activated the 4th level Jade Talisman. He no longer hesitated in his heart, and murderous intent filled the air. The moment the talisman was activated, Jiheng's Huanquan heart also warned him, and a surging breath of death enveloped him, and his hands and feet were cold. He looked horrified and wanted to fight hard, escape desperately, and fight for a ray of life from death and escape. But it was too late. The sun descended instantly, and the flames burned everything. Chapter 315 Fairy Spirit. Li Quanqing used all his strength to activate the Xianyang Burning World Talisman. Although he only stimulated the power of one yang, the vast power of heaven still shocked him. The Jade Talisman vibrated, and a golden sun emerged from it. It was only the size of a cherry at first, and then it expanded rapidly. The blazing power was extremely restrained. The Xianyang penetrated the giant of the sea, silently and directly burned a gap as big as a sea bowl in the sea water. Even the sea water was burned into nothingness in an instant. This fireball seemed slow, but was actually fast. In the blink of an eye, it directly crossed a distance of dozens of miles, and landed in the Midian demon formation. It was at this time that Jiheng also reacted, with a shocked expression and a fear of death. He wanted to roar wildly, burst out the golden elixir mana in his body, squeeze out the last drop of power, and find that impossible ray of life from the inevitable death. But the reality was cruel. Facing the arrival of the Xianyang, he could only watch with his eyes wide open. Even the roar was annihilated in his throat, and the fear swept over his body. Collapse. 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 Wherever the golden sun passed, the burning of solid flames directly broke the dark chains. The entire sky-shattering magic array began to collapse, and the surging darkness and the underworld were burned into nothingness, leaving a trail of embers wherever it passed. In the last second, the golden sun was still outside the array, and it seemed to be very far away, and there was plenty of time to escape. The next moment, the fireball expanded to the size of a millstone, and landed directly in front of Jiheng. There was no time to react, and it burned down layers of space. The firelight was reflected in the panicked pupils. That was the arrival of death, and no living creature could escape. Explode. Li Quanqing gave an order in his heart, and with the Jade Talisman in his hand, he removed the last restriction, and the extremely restrained flame power burst out. The golden solid flame burst out, sweeping across the world in an instant, like the real sun descending into the world, turning into a circle of dazzling mushroom clouds. The blazing sun was in the sky, like a giant furnace out of control, spewing endless light and heat, turning the world into a scorching purgatory. Every inch of air was ignited, and the scorching heat waves were like surging tides. One after another, the void collapsed, and the ashes burned into nothingness. Under Li Quanqing's control, the raging power of the sun was concentrated by him within a range of 10 miles, and the power was the most powerful. If it was completely released, the surging flames would be enough to affect an area of nearly 10,000 miles, and make the sea boil. This is the power of the nascent soul realm. The heat wave came in front of him, with a scorching breath, and the breath was full of scorching air. The wind whistled, blowing all the hair wildly. As the initiator of everything, Li Quanqing was also in deep shock at this time. The power of fire is indeed the most violent power in the world. The power of this jade talisman is beyond his imagination. After waiting for half an hour, this raging power of burning the world slowly subsided. Jiheng's original foothold, the entire sky-high magic formation, was burned into nothingness, and the seawater below also evaporated into a large pit, revealing the dry and cracked seabed. What was unexpected was that after the endless flames of the sun, there was still something left. It was a mighty and ferocious dragon, with red and cracked scales all over its body, constantly emitting hot white gas, and flowing with lava-like flames. The body of the dragon spirit of the magic halberd was circling and entwined, successfully resisting the sun's explosion with the smallest area and posture, but it also paid a heavy price. Crack. A gust of hot wind blew past, and the whole body of the dragon began to shatter, turning into dust all over the sky, and disappearing between heaven and earth. In the end, only a thumb-sized dragon scale was left, with a deep black glow, interwoven with golden patterns, filled with a noble atmosphere, indestructible, and the spirit of the magic dragon halberd was sleeping. A 5th order divine dragon scale armor. Li Quanqing was shocked, thinking of Jiheng's previous introduction, and at the same time he was full of surprises. According to the self-healing power of the magic halberd, with this dragon scale in hand, wouldn't it be possible to restore this powerful nascent soul spirit treasure? But in the embers, a golden light bloomed, and it was a withered yellow golden elixir, filled with the breath of death, trying to escape in the chaos. Take it. Li Quanqing had noticed long ago that this demon dragon swallowed the golden elixir in its mouth, and with the help of layers of hard body, it forcibly resisted the Xianyang explosion. It was precisely because of this that, although Jiheng's body was destroyed, his true spirit still existed, and he could be placed in the golden elixir, and could do things like taking over the body. No, you can't kill me. I left a life lamp in the sect. If you kill me, my master will definitely hunt you down to the ends of the earth. And I know a lot of ancient secrets. The Azure Sea and the Yellow Springs come from the same source. If you want to overcome your inner demons, I can teach you how to use life and death. The Yellow Springs golden pill was flying in the air. Before Jiheng finished begging for mercy, a white hand suddenly fell from the sky and directly wiped out his true soul. This, Li Quanqing was shocked. It was not him who did it, but someone else. He looked up suddenly and realized that he didn't know when. The water in the sky gathered and turned into a slender figure shrouded in divine light. He held the Cheyenne token, and his face could not be seen at all. He stood silently in the sky. Congratulations, descendant of Bihei. Although it was a bit tricky, you have successfully completed the 2nd level of inheritance trial. The mysterious man's words were gentle, like the flowing of mountain spring water. He played with the Huanquan golden pill, and did not take Jiheng's threat seriously at all. Don't worry, little guy. The space here is blocked. It's just a life lamp. I will personally wipe out this person's true spirit, and will not let you be hunted down by the Huanquan sect. Thank you for your kindness, senior. I'm very grateful. Li Quanqing bowed his head and saluted, his heart pounding. With such a calm attitude, he had guessed the identity of this person. I haven't asked you yet. What is your name, senior? Immortal spirit. The only immortal spirit in this mortal world. Countless years ago, this seat came to the lower world with the ancient immortal, and was ordered to guard his Taoist lineage and leave this lineage of Cheyenne inheritance. This person spoke slowly. His words were free and casual, but the information revealed was extremely shocking. This is no longer an old monster. It is definitely the oldest immortal among the immortals, and it is the only immortal weapon in the world, guarding the Cheyenne River for billions of years. Li Quanqing was shocked beyond words. He couldn't understand how the Cheyenne Dao was destroyed with the immortal weapon in hand, and who could destroy them? The descending immortals inherited the legacy, and with the immortal weapon guarding them, they dominated the East China Sea for countless years. How reckless must those Cheyenne monks have been back then to turn a game that started out great into what it is now. As if seeing what he was thinking, the fairy smiled softly, with a lot of loneliness. Although the fairy weapon is powerful, it is not invincible. In terms of my own grade, it is only one level higher than the spiritual treasure of the divine transformation, barely worthy of the word fairy. I have guarded the Cheyenne Road for countless years, experienced too many wars, and fought in all directions. My body has long been broken, and my power is no longer there. And on you, I sense a familiar breath. It should be a part of my body, passed down as a family treasure. The fairy stretched out her hand and a rusty bronze mirror suddenly fell out of Li Quanqing's Qiankan bracelet. The scene of 10,000 fish swimming around was engraved, and the copper rust fell. 10,000 fish mirror? Li Quanqing didn't expect that this mysterious treasure inherited from the family could actually be related to the fairy weapon. The fairy's palm brushed across the bronze mirror, the rust fell off, and infinite light burst out, and then he saw a treasure falling out of the mirror. Chapter 316 Cyaniding. The fairy held the Wanyu mirror in her palm, and stretched out her hand to wipe it. Suddenly, the mirror surface burst into rays of light, and a metal device fell out of it. This object was curved in shape, and the material was similar to bronze. It looked a bit like a cow's horn, but it was thicker, and the rays dark, was like flowing water. Do you recognize what this is? The fairy smiled and spoke, with an indescribable nostalgia in her tone, and even a kind of affinity like an elder. It looks a bit like the foot of a large tripod. Li Quanqing spoke carefully, looking at this object. It was as if he saw a fairy tripod standing between heaven and earth. Yes, this is a Xianyi tripod, with vast power, unrivaled in heaven and earth, enough to suppress the mortal world, and it is my true self. The fairy stroked the tripod foot, and in addition to sighing in her tone, there was actually a hint of boasting. That feeling was like a person holding his bloody thigh after amputation, grinning and asking if it looks good. It was indescribably weird and terrifying. Cyaniding. Li Quanqing only understood at this moment why the confused spirit in the mirror repeated these two words when he touched and refined the Wanyu mirror. It turned out that everything had a reason. The blood aura matches, the skills are passed down correctly, and there is the broken Cyaniding as a symbol. It is indeed the descendant of Bihei. The fairy handed over the tripod foot. Even though it was a part of his body, he did not think of taking it for himself. Bihei is the ancestor of this junior. Li Quanqing spoke carefully, and suddenly realized that his ancestor was actually so powerful. Lord Bihei, the last immortal cultivator to ascend to the heavenly realm in the history of Xiandao, was also the first person to ascend to the heavenly realm after the great environment of the human world changed. He was a brilliant man. Since then, all the Taoist masters of Xiandao, even if they have achieved immortality, are just a bunch of trash. Not only can they not pass the calamity and ascend to heaven, but some are even killed by the demons. They have completely lost the face of the immortal inheritance. Li Quanqing did not dare to respond. He was not even at the nascent soul stage, so he dared not cricket these ancient immortal masters. If you are useful to me, please take it. He did not take the Cyaniding. It was just a broken piece of equipment. How could it be as awesome as the immortal spirit in front of him? Of course, he had to hold on to his thighs. I already have a place to stay, but some of the broken pieces are of no use to me, unless all the fragments of the old immortal tripod are gathered together. Besides, the Xianyi tripod is the symbol of the master of the Xiandao. If you hold it in your hand, it will be convenient for you to restore the glory of the Bihei lineage in the future. The fairy's words were slow, and seemed to carry many hidden meanings. Li Quanqing's brain was spinning wildly at this moment. Hearing the hidden meaning, he immediately looked righteous and awe-inspiring. As a disciple of the Xiandao, it is my duty to repair the body of the senior. The fairy looked at him with a smile. Are you serious? Every word is from the heart, not a lie. I know it clearly. I will go all out and live up to the trust of the senior. Li Quanqing's words were sonorous and powerful, with an expression of trust me, I guarantee to win, and his eyes were as firm as iron. Very good, just what I want. It just so happens that the remaining fragments of the immortal tripod are all in this space at this time, so you can collect them all for me. The immortal seemed to have planned it in advance. At this moment, he waved his hand, and the water in the sky turned into a mirror, revealing the scene of a trial space. Li Quanqing looked carefully and saw a young monk in a water blue Taoist robe. His expression was gentle and his eyes were bright. He exuded a kind of tranquility and gentleness like the sea, as if he was the incarnation of the great way of water. This person looked thin, but he had an infinite momentum. The mana that flowed out inadvertently could stir up the wind and clouds in the sky, making the surrounding space oppressive. Yuan Great Monk. The most important thing is that 3 inches above this person's head, there was a large tripod suspended. It was square and covered with water-like shapes. The body of the tripod was carved with mountains, rivers, lakes, seas, sun, moon, and stars. Unfortunately, the tripod was covered with cracks, and even one of the 4 tripod legs was missing. It looked quite broken and ancient, but it still had the momentum to suppress the heavens. Is this person a cultivator from the 4C sect? Such a complete Shyanai tripod. There is almost no broken part, it has been completely repaired. Li Quanqing widened his eyes, a little surprised, and felt that the tripod leg in his hand was a hot potato. He finally understood at this time that he was cheated by the immortal senior in front of him. The 4C sect has been collecting Shyanai tripods for so many years, and now they only need this one in their hand to complete their merits. If they knew about the Li family's Bahai inheritance, I'm afraid their fate would not be much better than that of the Huangquan sect. They are going to go against them. That's right. This person is called Shyanai's Engine. He is a cultivator of the 4C sect. Judging from his talent, he should be a water-based spiritual root, and his lifespan is no more than 2 decades. The Shyan has been passed down for hundreds of millions of years. It is divided into Zhenhe, Kanghe, Taiyin and Bahai, which respectively symbolize the 4 legs of the immortal tripod. Now the 4C sect has occupied 3 veins, leaving only the last Bahai inheritance. It has disappeared for a long time, but it can also be called the successor of the Shyan. Xianling spoke slowly. Since the establishment of the 4C sect, from time to time, there have been Yuanying cultivators holding Shyan orders to disturb him and tell him all the changes in the world of immortal cultivation in recent years. It is really like a fly disturbing people's sweet dreams. What about the Huangquan sect? What's going on with them? Li Quanqing asked his doubts. Facing this great enemy, he was always very uneasy. Bahai Huangquan is originally from the same family. Huangquan sect rebelled against the sect and fell into the devil's way. They also took away some of the immortal scriptures, making the Bahai inheritance incomplete. Until Bahai Zhenjun was born, he comprehended the scriptures with amazing talent, and once again realized the mystery of Bahai inheritance, understood the meaning of reincarnation, and ascended to heaven. The immortal spirit grabbed the Huangquan Jindan in his hand, his expression slightly solemn. Bluo Huangquan, between life and death. This is the true water of reincarnation. Life and death, reincarnation. Li Quanqing chewed on these 2 words and felt a magnificent and ancient feeling coming to his face, as if explaining the most fundamental power in the world. As one of the 7 true waters, the power of the true water of reincarnation is undoubtedly much more mysterious, and almost no one has really peeked into its power. Cultivating immortals requires one to achieve success in one lifetime, and very few cultivators place their hopes on the next life. Even if you take over another body and give up your cultivation, you still have to fight for it in this life. In this world of mortals, does reincarnation really exist? When breaking through the nascent soul stage, it is hard to guard against the chaos of the inner demons, and it is the most difficult calamity. But with the help of the true water of Samsara, you can reincarnate for hundreds of times and sharpen your mind, just like you have really lived hundreds of lives in the mortal world and polished out a flawless heart of Tao. No matter how real the illusion of the inner demons is, it can no longer confuse the cultivators. I will stand firm and break it with my strength. The immortal spread out his palms, his words full of temptation. This golden elixir was left by a cultivator who had achieved perfection in the golden elixir stage. If you refine it and combine it with the blue sea and the yellow spring, I will use the true water of Samsara to rebuild your foundation of Taoism. The difficulty of the nascent soul stage is just like this. What do you think? Chapter 317 Holy Infant Pill. The immortal spread out his palm, and the withered yellow Huangquan Jindan lay in it, surrounded by death, domineeringly eroding the vitality of the surroundings, and causing all things to wither. His words echoed in his ears, undoubtedly with great temptation, which was simply heart-pounding. This is the true water of reincarnation, mysterious and unpredictable, known as one of the 7 true waters. and the immortal spirit personally reshaped the foundation of Taoism. Just as he promised, even though Li Quanqing's talent was not good, but he had a medium-grade spiritual root, he had come to this point by cheating. As long as he could go through this transformation, he could also be like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, reborn from the fire of desire, and truly become one of the most outstanding peerless prodigies in the world. With such temptation, who could not be moved? Li Quanqing breathed in the cold water vapor and looked at the Huangquan Jianden, which was bright in color and seductive, but he was still expressionless. "I'm sorry, senior, I choose to refuse." He spoke softly, without any lingering eyes, and directly refused, without any room for maneuver. "Why?" Xianling tilted his head, looking very curious. "This is the great Dao of reincarnation. With this golden elixir, you can build a foundation for the body of reincarnation. You will be born close to the great Dao of life and death, and there will be no obstacles in your future cultivation. Other people's things are always external things. I have practiced until now, all by my own efforts. Even if I don't rely on this golden elixir, I still have enough confidence to break the elixir and become an infant by myself and embark on my own path." Li Quanqing's words were sonorous, his eyes were unprecedentedly firm, and his eyes were as clear and clean as water. This was the truth from the bottom of his heart. He always felt uncomfortable when a golden elixir cultivated by others was to be refined in his body. It must be said that in some things, he has the purest misophobia. What a pity. I thought I could reshape a reincarnation body with my own hands again and reproduce the glory of the blue sea god. Xianling sighed leisurely, playing with the golden elixir in his hand, and there was regret in his words. In fact, he did have some meaning of testing in it, but more of them were really thinking about Li Quanqing. From the perspective of the immortals, this guy's spiritual root aptitude was too poor. It was a miracle that he could cultivate to his current level. In the future, he wanted to rely on himself to condense his nascent soul, unify the 4C sect, occupy the magpie's nest, and restore the ancient glory of Xian Dao. It was really a big test. My path will be as pure as possible, and it will all depend on my own footprints one by one to step out my own path to heaven. Li Quanqing said in a deep voice. He was able to rely on the monster to cheat and obtain the unique light bowl reward. Isn't it his own efforts? Your Tao heart is good. I hope you can really do what you say. The immortal did not comment and looked at Xianai's engine in the water mirror. If you don't become a Yuanying, how can you take this immortal tripod for me and restore the glory of my ancient times? Li Quanqing was a little puzzled. Senior, I see that the 4C sect is powerful. It is now the #1 sect in the East China Sea. The inheritance of the skills is also in the same vein as the Xian Dao. Why don't you agree to them? It's very simple, because I don't like them. Although I haven't had much contact, but these guys, one by one, leave the impression on me that none of them are good people. The immortal snorted coldly, and the word sounded a bit arrogant. These tens of thousands of years were just a few naps for him. Even if the Xian Dao was destroyed, he didn't care much. He had a long time to choose a successor that satisfied him. Of course, more importantly, the immortal has lived for countless years and has an almost instinctive intuition about identifying people's hearts. He can see through people's hearts at a glance. These guys from the 4C sect gave him the feeling that they had ulterior motives and other plots, and that they were definitely not just trying to restore the Xian Dao inheritance. Well, this guy finally realized that something was wrong. Xianling suddenly spoke, looking at the nascent soul cultivator in the mirror. Before this guy had been walking aimlessly, but now he seemed to have just realized what was happening, stopped, and a bit of confusion appeared on his face. Li Quanqing was stunned. Isn't he accepting the inheritance trial like me? It should be like this. The 4C sect sacrificed the nascent soul demon with blood and selected him as the trial person. According to the rules, the inheritance trial should be started immediately. But I just don't like them, so I did some small tricks within the rules. Xianling looked as if it was a matter of course. Anyway, the group of old guys who formulated the inheritance trial are all dead now. Who can control me? Who dares to control me? These words really stunned the listeners, and they looked completely lawless. Apart from calling the senior awesome, Li Quanqing didn't dare to speak nonsense at all, for fear that he would be framed. At this time, in the water mirror, Gengjin manipulated the immortal tripod above his head, as if touching the rules of the dark, and asked where the immortal spirit was. I can't hide it anymore. Let's start. The immortal spirit scratched his head, stretched out his hand, and immediately threw a demon beast in. It appeared out of thin air in front of the Yuanying cultivator, and the two stared at each other. Which 4th level python demon is this? Li Quanqing saw clearly that the one who appeared in front of Gengjin was the dark purple demon python that mastered the power of the void, and the silver white patterns on its body were rippling like ripples. This is the sky-splitting python, an extremely rare space-type demon beast. It has part of the blood of the void beast flowing in its body, and is naturally close to the power of the void. According to the trial rules, the first round of inheritance trial is to face an opponent of the same realm, and cannot be defeated by external objects. That's why I let this 4th level demon in as the opponent of this guy. The immortal spirit recounted the cause and effect, staring at the scene in the water mirror. Li Quanqing rubbed his eyebrows, and only then did he realize that the 4C sect was really in bad luck. They had taken so many advantages, but who would have thought that they would encounter an old jerk who specifically pitied them. In the mirror, the battle broke out very quickly, and ended very quickly. It was simply a one-sided crushing. Gengjin, as a natural spiritual root, is also the most famous peerless prodigy in the 4C sect. Even without the help of the immortal tripod, his combat power is still overwhelming the sky-splitting python. Li Quanqing was dazzled by the battle. Although this battle between Yuanying was short, it also made him gain a lot and truly witnessed the power of Yuanying creatures. In the end, the sky-splitting python still relied on the powerful power of mastering the void to successfully escape with his life, and was not killed on the spot. It seemed that the immortals had let him go. The next is the second inheritance trial, against a nascent soul great perfection creature. If he wins, he can choose a treasure from the 4th level treasure house. The fairy looked at Li Quanqing and suddenly said, I remember that there is also a holy infant pill among them. Do you want it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318 Sky-Splitting Python. Holy Infant Pill. Li Quanqing was stunned for a moment, then his eyebrows lit up with joy. He didn't expect that there was such a good thing in the Xi'an ruins. After experiencing the Golden Elixir Conference, he had already known a lot about these nascent soul secrets, and naturally he had heard of the name of the Holy Infant Pill. This is a kind of pill developed by ancient saints. It is said to be blessed by holy light, fearless of inner demons, and can help Golden Elixir cultivators successfully break through the nascent soul realm. One pill is hard to come by. If we only talk about the effect, it is no less tempting than the 5-element Golden Elixir for foundation building cultivators. After taking it, breaking through a great realm is a foregone conclusion. It seems that you have heard of the great name of this holy pill, so I don't need to explain it anymore. This holy infant pill was made by gathering the resources of the entire East China Sea cultivation world when the ancient Xi'an road was extremely prosperous. There is only one left in the entire Xi'an treasure house, and it is one of the most precious treasures in the 4th level treasure house. The fairy stared at Gengjin in the water mirror. If I'm not mistaken, this guy's goal is this holy infant pill. He wants to add another Yuanying cultivator to the 4C sect. They have been planning for a long time. Can this guy defeat a Yuanying great perfection cultivator? Li Quanqing looked at the young man in the water mirror and felt a little incredible. He himself crossed 2 small realms, and it was very difficult to kill Jiheng. It was all because of the 4th level jade talisman that he was forced to cheat. The gap between the Yuanying realms will only be greater. In terms of cultivation alone, Gengjin is only a Yuanying early cultivator. It is simply a fantasy to want to go up several small realms and defeat the enemy. You know, the nascent soul perfection realm is a real great cultivator in the human world, the strongest under the true transformation of the spirit. Each of them is like a magic needle that stabilizes the sea, and the gap between them and ordinary nascent soul cultivators is so great that it is unimaginable. It may not work in other places, but it can work here. There are no monsters with the strength of the nascent soul great perfection in the Cheyenne ruins, and I can only take action myself in the end. But this guy's holding the Cheyenne cauldron, which has a great restraint on me. He can even borrow the power of the rules left by the Taoist masters of the Cheyenne Dao who have successfully passed the trials of previous generations to forcibly defeat me. The Sahei sect is well prepared and has already considered everything, so they carry such an important thing as the immortal cauldron with them. The immortal spirit spoke in a deep voice, looking at Li Quanqing. When this guy passes the second level of the trial and obtains the qualification to open the fourth level treasure house, you will have no chance again. The holy infant pill. I must get it. Without thinking, Li Quanqing made his decision directly. This kind of elixir, even a behemoth like the longevity path, would be exhausted, and it would be difficult to refine it with the power of the entire immortal dynasty. How could he let it go? With the holy infant pill in hand, it would be easy to break the pill and become an infant in the future. Senior, tell me what I should do to complete the third inheritance trial. Li Quanqing looked at the slender figure shrouded in the fairy light. Although he couldn't see his face clearly, he could sense the kindness like an elder. The third level of inheritance trial is to defeat 3 great perfection creatures of the same realm, but I think you have a better choice. The fairy smiled and spoke. He had planned it long ago and proposed his own solution, kill a Yuanying monster. Will it succeed? Isn't it a bit too risky? Li Quanqing frowned, feeling that the choice of defeating 3 golden elixir great perfection monsters was not bad, and it was more secure. Come and see for yourself. The fairy did not speak, but brushed his palm across the water, and once again used the sea water to condense into a mirror. In the water mirror, a dark purple demon python was struggling to survive, covered in blood, with cracked flesh, and looked seriously injured. It's the defeated sky-splitting python. Li Quanqing raised his eyebrows and understood everything in an instant. It turned out that this was the trap set by the immortal, letting this demon beast in the early stage of the nascent soul enter the ruins. In addition to dealing with the nascent soul true lord of the 4C sect, the ultimate goal was to keep it for him. Even when true lord Cheyenne was about to kill the sky-splitting python, the immortal deliberately let it go and opened the space blockade, allowing this nascent soul demon to escape. Waiting for him to harvest. The sky-splitting python can travel through the void, but compared to other 4th level demons, its flesh is very weak. When the 3rd level trial begins, this seat will imprison the space, seal the heaven and earth, and make it unable to move. You can just throw the 4th level jade talisman out. The immortal said leisurely. When he chose the sky-splitting python, he knew this weakness, which was much easier to deal with than other demons. From the beginning, it was ready to help the descendants of Bihei's bloodline cheat in the inheritance trial, deliberately targeting the 4C sect. Flexibly apply your bottom line in the rules, then give it a try. Li Quanqing clenched his palms and finally realized how refreshing it was when he was in the examination room and the invigilators were bribed by him. Not to mention the open book exam. The cheat sheets are all prepared for you. Just copy the answers and look down on the whole audience. To kill a 4th level monster with the giant and cultivation, even if Cheyenne's engine also passed the 3rd level, your inheritance authority is also higher than his, and you can give priority to the holy infant pill. The fairy looked at him with extra seriousness. If you are ready, I will start. Li Quanqing exhaled a breath of turbid air and nodded heavily. Start the 3rd level trial inheritance. When his words fell, the surrounding space suddenly set off layers of ripples. The invisible rules were running, and the figure of the fairy also disappeared. He was left alone. Then the void in the distance fluctuated. A large crack appeared, a silver-white light shone, and a dark purple demon python emerged from it, with strange pupils. What a weak human. Is this my next opponent? The body of the sky-splitting python hovered in the air, and the hideous scars could still be seen. The purple-red blood dripped, with a hint of silver light. Compared with those 4th level monsters whose bodies covered the sky, it was small enough to be called exquisite, with a body size similar to a rockery, and its scales were covered with strange silver-white patterns. The sky-splitting python stared at the human cultivator in front of him, and did not act rashly. It was obvious that it had noticed something wrong, and had some impulse. Li Quanqing took out the 4th level jade talisman that had been prepared long ago, and without hesitation, He fully activated it and directly released the remaining talisman power completely. Crack. As cracks climbed up the jade talisman, two golden suns bloomed, entwined, and rotated like a yin-yang Teikai ball, releasing an extremely terrifying destructive force. The Cheyenne ruins really pitted my demon clan. Faced with the crisis of death, the scales of the sky-splitting python exploded instantly, and it felt trembling with fear, and a haze appeared in its pupils. Fortunately, it was born close to the void. It was just a talisman, and it was controlled by a giant and cultivator, so it could easily escape. When the power of this 4th level spiritual talisman is exhausted, it will make this human race pay the price, skinning and breaking bones. A flash of bloodthirstiness flashed across the face of the sky-splitting python, which was covered with fine scales. The silver-white light on its body burst out like a surging tide, and it was ready to dive into the gap in the void. But in the next moment, an invisible force broke out, instantly blocking the 4 directions of heaven and earth. The void that could be easily penetrated and shuttled became as solid as a rock. That feeling is like when you are swimming in the sea, the water that was originally flowing around you suddenly solidified like ice. No matter how you struggle, you can only watch your body freeze and completely bury your life. Chapter 319 Cheyenne's Engine. After losing the ability to travel through the void, the sky-splitting python suddenly became a piece of meat on a chopping board, at the mercy of others. Just as it was stunned, the power of the heavenly sun-burning world talisman descended, and the flames of destruction erupted, burning all life. 2 golden heavenly suns spun and danced, blocking all ways to survive, and were ignited in an instant, turning into a dazzling mushroom cloud. With a crisp sound, the jade talisman in Li Quanqing's hand completely cracked, turning into pieces of jade chips, flying everywhere. Can you kill this big monster? Li Quanqing did not take it lightly at all. He was prepared for the worst, and took out 2 Yuanying spiritual treasures to protect his body. The dazzling light burst out, and the energy that was enough to turn everything into ashes ravaged the world, which was far more shocking than the last time. The blazing light poured out without reservation, the air turned into nothingness, the sea began to burn, and the whole world was distorted by this terrifying power. It seemed that even the space could not bear it, and turned into a glow like lava, like a scorching hell descending. Dead as a whistle. What finally made Li Quanqing feel completely at ease was the voice of the immortal spirit, which came from nowhere and echoed in his ears. After more than an hour, the raging flames and mana fluctuations gradually subsided, revealing a whole shiny python skeleton. Under the burning flames, the flesh, blood, and scales of the entire sky-splitting python were burned, leaving only the skeleton, which was slender and exquisite, and beautiful like a work of art. The snake bones were silvery white in color, as if the purest void power, and like the shining starlight, were all branded with purple runes, distorting the surrounding space. Kai. The void butterfly gently flapped its wings and suddenly discovered something. The demonic energy pulled out a 4th level demon pill from the split python's skull. The demon race does not have the concept of nascent soul. They mainly cultivate the Yuanshan, entrust it to their own demon pills, and gather blood and demonic energy. This demon pill is really special, like a silver white star, with purple spots and flashing light. It actually took the initiative to hide in the void, disappearing by itself, and being in the gap between reality and the void. If it weren't for the void butterfly's natural affinity with the power of space, it would be really difficult for Li Quanqing to find it by himself. He would only think that the demon pill disappeared under the power of the Cheyenne burning world talisman at noon. Is the soul of this sky-splitting python really dead? Li Quanqing looked at the 4th level demon pill from a distance, and after studying it for a long time, he finally confirmed that there was no residual soul in it, and only the purest original power remained. In addition, the fairy spirit also gave a positive answer. The two Cheyenne's raged, and the true spirit of this big demon had been destroyed, and it was gone. Li Quanqing was a little emotional. It seemed that the vitality of the sky-splitting python was not as strong as Ji Heng of the Huanquan sect, who was able to escape a wisp of residual soul. It is worthy of being a demon cub, and its ability to save its life is really beyond words. Kai. The void butterfly flapped its wings happily, approached carefully, and then lay on the snake bones of the sky-splitting python, and began to greedily absorb the space power in it. Li Quanqing let it do whatever it wanted, and even prepared to keep this 4th level demon pill for the butterfly demon, so that he could impact the 4th level nascent soul realm in the future. Is this a void beast with a mutated bloodline? The fairy spirit appeared again silently without any signs, as if it was everywhere in this ruins. Li Quanqing then remembered that according to ancient legends, when the ancient immortals descended to the world, they rode void beasts as mounts. As the spirit of the Cheyenne, the fairy spirit should be very familiar with this clan, so he could see the background and origin of the void butterfly. Relying on the power of the golden elixir to kill a Yuanying demon, although it was a trick, it did not violate the inheritance rules. The reward for the 2nd level of inheritance trial is promotion, and you can choose any treasure from the 4th level treasure house. Successful completion of the 3rd level trial will reward the real Shyandao inheritance, the immortal scripture, and the use of the 7 true waters, to practice the great way of water. The fairy spoke slowly, and took out a bronze fragment. This is all the treasures in the 4th level treasure house. You can choose as you like. You can only pick one, and I can't cheat. Li Quanqing took it, and examined it carefully. It is worthy of being an ancient sect. Even though it has been destroyed, it still has a huge foundation. These are the inheritance items prepared in advance by the ancient Shyandao cultivators. It is so that one day, when the sect is destroyed, it can rise quickly and dominate the East China Sea cultivation world again, looking down on the ancient and modern times. There are indeed many good things among them, but the most precious, as the fairy said, are only a few treasures such as the Holy Infant Pill. I choose the Holy Infant Pill. Li Quanqing said. His goal was clear from beginning to end. Even if he was given a spiritual treasure that could turn into a god, it would not be as important as his own path. Apart from other things, the thought of enjoying 1,000 years of life after breaking through the nascent soul was enough to drive people crazy. Xianling was not surprised. His palm penetrated through layers of space, took out the extremely precious Holy Infant Pill, and threw it to him. You can play with it first. I will go to open the trial inheritance of the kid from the 4C sect. When everything is over, I will pass on the Shyandao to you. Thank you, senior. Li Quanqing saluted respectfully until the other party disappeared, and then he had the mind to check the treasure in his palm. Is this the Holy Infant Pill? He looked at the precious pill with a burning gaze and a little surging emotions. The Holy Infant Pill was snow white, like a warm and flawless gem, with golden patterns condensed on the surface. A holy and peaceful breath bloomed out, and the demons were scared away. This pill was sealed in a layer of transparent crystal, so it can be preserved for eternity. Even after countless years, it still has sufficient medicinal effect. Li Quanqing played with the Holy Infant Pill. Even if he couldn't touch it, he still felt a strong understanding enveloping him, as if he was listening to the preaching of an ancient saint. After he admired it, he carefully put the pill away, fearing that there would be a slight mistake. Looking at the entire human world, perhaps this will be the only Holy Infant Pill now, and its preciousness is unimaginable. Then, Li Quanqing took out the demon dragon spear. This spiritual treasure could be preserved in the destruction of Xianyang, which shows how powerful and terrible it is. Now that the demon dragon spear spirit has suffered a heavy blow, it is a great opportunity to subdue it, which should not be missed. He closed his eyes, held the black dragon scale in his hand, and began to refine it with his own magic power. Over time, water drips through the stone, and there will always be a time for success. In another inheritance space, Cheyenne Gengjin, who came out of the 4C sect, also started the 2nd level of inheritance trial. The immortal spirit personally went down to the battlefield, exerting the strength of the Yuan in great perfection realm to fight with him. However, with the immortal cauldron in hand, the immortal spirit, although a true spirit of the immortal weapon, was restricted in every way, and was suppressed so severely that it was difficult to fully exert its strength. Who are you? You can actually fully activate the immortal cauldron. Even I can't resist it. This is my body. The immortal spirit was shrouded in immortal light, and the light surged like rippling water, enough to show its inner restlessness. It had to admit that it had underestimated the other party. Obviously, it was the spirit of the immortal weapon, but the human race opposite to it seemed to have an innate instinct to control the immortal cauldron, as if he was the real owner of the immortal weapon. Senior, you lose this time. Cheyenne Gengjin smiled. He looked young, but he was full of energy and confidence. I also mastered a secret method that can summon the marks left by the successive Shyandao masters. By using the power of rules, I can pass even the third level of the trial. The power of Zhenhe, the body of Kanghe, and the soul of Taiyan. But, with the three major inheritances integrated into one, and a natural affinity for the immortal cauldron, it seems that you are the trump card prepared by the Sehei sect, ready to be established as the future Shyandao master. The immortal spirit calmed down. Tell me, what do you want? Chapter 320 Cheyenne Sutra. Tell me, what do you want? The immortal looked down at Lord Cheyenne below, regaining his usual calmness and composure, with a look of superiority. The young Yuanying Zenjin performed the disciple's etiquette, and said in a neither humble nor arrogant manner, what I want, is only the holy infant pill in the 4th level treasure house. Xianling hummed, pretending to search the treasure house for a moment, and said lightly, no. How could there be no? Cheyenne Zenjin frowned, and said in a deep voice, Xianling, please confirm again. The ancient books handed down by the sect clearly record that Shyandao left a holy infant pill in the inheritance treasure house. No, there is no. Xianling pretended again, saying in a lazy tone, maybe it was used up in a certain year, or maybe so much time has passed that the pill can't withstand the erosion of eternity, and turned into a pile of powder. Cheyenne Zenjin naturally didn't believe it. With the means of Shyandao, the medicinal properties of the pill can be preserved indefinitely, almost immortal. Unfortunately, no matter how he asked, the answer he got in the end was still no. In the end, Cheyenne Zenjin had no choice but to settle for the second best, and chose a spiritual item for forming an infant, which was also rare in the world. In the ancient times, the East Sea cultivation world was extremely prosperous, far exceeding the other 4 regions. Shyandao also accumulated an incredible and amazing foundation there. Do you want to start the 3rd level of trial? In accordance with the inheritance rules, the fairy continued to ask. Shyandao Sutra Inheritance. Can I get the Jade Sea scripture? Cheyenne Zenjin's eyes flashed. Now he has 3 major inheritances, and only the last one is the Jade Sea lineage. After passing the trial, you can learn the incomplete Jade Sea scripture. Whether you can comprehend the true meaning of reincarnation from it depends on your luck. The fairy took a look at the living room, and immediately understood the calculations of the 4C sect, and told it truthfully. Incomplete inheritance? Didn't the Jade Sea god have already completed the scripture, and comprehended the secret of the true water of reincarnation? Cheyenne Zenjin was a little puzzled. This seemed to contradict his cognition. Before Bihei ascended to heaven, he sealed the true reincarnation inheritance among his own descendants, and did not leave behind any jade slips of inheritance. The inheritance in the ruins today is still a fragmentary scripture from ancient times. The fairy's eyes were indifferent, even with a hint of coldness in them, and his tone became indifferent. I understand. True Lord Cheyenne did not ask in detail, and spoke again. I wonder what the requirements are for the 4th level inheritance trial? That is the last trial, which requires the trial taker to break through the realm of transformation, so that they can completely open the Cheyenne ruins, and rebuild the sect. But senior, the environment between heaven and earth has undergone earth-shaking changes. The spiritual energy is thin, and the road is difficult. Even those cultivators with outstanding talents and diligent practice will no longer be able to break through the realm of transformation. Will the Shyandao never reappear in the world? True Lord Cheyenne had an anxious expression, his eyes full of worry. As soon as he finished speaking, he hurriedly bowed with a sincere and humble attitude. I beg Lord Xianling to lower the rules as appropriate, leave a glimmer of hope for the East China Sea cultivation world, and make my Shyandao great again. Xianling frowned slightly. He had some sense of the changes in the environment of the human world and the shattered heaven and earth. After thinking for a moment, it finally nodded and agreed. That means breaking through the spirit transformation, or having the combat power of the spirit transformation realm, and then you can inherit the Shyandao tradition. Thank you, Master Xianling. In the end, Cheyenne Zenjin did not choose to start the 3rd level of the trial. He is only in the early stage of the nascent soul now. Even if he has the immortal tripod in his hand, he will not be the opponent of the 3 nascent soul great perfection cultivators, and he will only return in defeat. The immortal watched him leave the ruins. In fact, he had concealed something just now, and did not tell all the contents of the trial. Even if he has not broken through the spirit transformation, if he can hold the complete Cheyenne immortal tripod, he can also get its approval and open the Cheyenne ruins. But as I said, the purpose of the 4C sect is not pure, and it must have other plans, which makes it unhappy. Li Quanqing sat cross-legged on the sea, with spirit beasts circling around him to protect him. In front of him, a black dragon scale was suspended, covered with golden patterns. These patterns flickered, as if they could breathe, full of spirituality, and occasionally you could hear the roar of the dragon. This is a nascent soul spirit treasure, the demon dragon halberd. It was severely damaged before, and even the weapon spirit fell into a deep sleep. Now he tried to refine it, and use it for himself. Unfortunately, the process was not very smooth. The halberd spirit has been resisting his magic power to refine it. This is the dragon roar left by the 5th level dragon. The weapon spirit is unyielding, and has been stained with a trace of the will of the god. It has also been refined by the Huangquan sect's magic power for countless years. It is difficult to refine it with your current cultivation. The void fluctuated, and the figure of the fairy appeared again. The whole body was shrouded in glory, and the specific face could not be seen clearly. It was as sacred as an immortal. Please help me, senior. Li Quanqing honestly asked for help from the big brother. The one in front of him was the true spirit of the immortal weapon. It was not easy to deal with the spirit of a 4th level spiritual treasure. The fairy stretched out his palm. Its knuckles were as slender as jade, just like a flawless work of art, with wisps of white fairy air wrapped around it, which made people feel flawless. Just a light brush of the palm. After the fairy light dissipated, the dark dragon scales suddenly became obedient and stopped resisting. I have wiped out most of the spiritual wisdom, leaving only the purest spirituality. Just like a pure baby, you can do whatever you want. The fairy withdrew his palm, not really caring. Such a nascent soul spirit treasure. There are dozens of such nascent soul spirit treasures in its 4th level treasure house. It sat cross-legged in the void, and spoke in a deep voice with a little solemnity. Now gather your mind. I will pass on the Cheyenne Sutra to you, and inherit the ambition of the ancient immortals. Li Quanqing sat down obediently, feeling that he had returned to the key refining period, sitting in the school, and listening to the elders of the clan talk about the way of cultivation. The Cheyenne inheritance is divided into 4 veins. Zenhei Sutra is Cheyenne i.e. true water, which focuses on the cultivator's magic power. It is said that the Cheyenne is vast and endless. Kanghei Sutra is Yuan heavy water, which focuses on the cultivator's physical body. When practiced to a high level, it can refine the stars in the sky into liquid and reshape the meridians. Taiyin Sutra is Taiyin true water, which focuses on the cultivator's soul. It is empty and clear, without thoughts. A wisp of thought can turn into the bright moon of Taiyin to shine for thousands of miles. Bahai Sutra is the most special. It records the true meaning of reincarnation. It means that the cultivator's magical powers are sharp. With one strike, he can control the life and death of all things. These 4 scriptures are independent of each other, but they are also related to each other. Cheyenne Dao cultivators often practice several veins of inheritance to learn from each other's strengths and make up for their weaknesses. However, the 7 true waters are infinitely mysterious. Many cultivators have spent their entire lives, and it is difficult to comprehend a sutra. What's more, only those with outstanding talents can reach the peak at the same time when practicing the 4 major inheritances. Such cultivators can often compete for the status of Cheyenne Daozi. Once they break through the spiritualization realm, they will automatically be promoted to Cheyenne Daoist Master. The immortal looked down and looked at Li Quanqing. You are carrying the Blue Sea scripture. I can't help you with this. You can only wait for your bloodline to awaken after you become strong and complete the Samsara Sutra by yourself. What I can do is to teach you the other 3 veins of scriptures and use the power of Zenhei to cover up your own Blue Sea aura and rebuild your foundation. It took the tripod foot of Cheyenne Aiding, stretched out its hand and gently dropped it, and then the sky was full of aquamarine light, and it actually drew a drop of azure liquid from it. Li Quanqing looked at the drop of liquid, as if he saw the boundless ocean, emerging in front of him, embracing everything. The tides rise and fall, and the vast sea surges, as if it never stops. This is Chapter 321 7 True Waters. Li Quanqing looked at the clear blue liquid in front of him, as if the entire ocean had gathered and condensed into this drop, containing infinite things. Could this be Cheyenne, i.e. true water? His heart trembled, as it was his first time to come into close contact with this legendary divine object. He only felt that it was infinitely ancient and mysterious, and it was truly the destiny of heaven and earth, and unparalleled creation. Well, I didn't expect that there was still half a drop of Cheyenne, i.e. true water left in this fragment. The power has dissipated a lot, and it is not complete. It can be used to rebuild your magic foundation and turn it into a true Cheyenne Dao inheritance. The Immortal stroked the fragment of the Immortal tripod in his hand and explained, Cheyenne, i.e. true water, is the first of the 7 true waters. My Cheyenne Dao inheritance is also based on Zenhei magic power, which can be used to exert the power of the other 3 veins. The Bahei magic power you are practicing now is good at the Jinden level, but in the long run, it is not as powerful as Zenhei magic power, which encompasses everything and is boundless. I will listen to you. Li Quanqing nodded obediently. He was a little curious. Senior, now I already know the 4 true waters. I wonder what characteristics the other 3 true waters have, and what kind of great rules they represent. The Zuanming true water freezes everything, and freezes thousands of miles. It is located in the Zuanming Dao in the Bihan region. It is also a Shenhua inheritance, and has a deep connection with my Cheyenne Dao. Your little ice phoenix has potential in this area, and has comprehended some of the power of the mysterious underworld. You can visit the Northern Territory in the future. As for the remaining 9 heavens weak water and cosmic light true water, they are extinct in the world. Even in the fairy world, they are extremely rare treasures. You don't have to think too much. I understand, senior. Please start. Li Quanqing nodded. Now that he knows the 7 true waters at once, it is really an eye-opener. He feels that his path of cultivation has just begun. The fairy played with this drop of Cheyenne, i.e. true water, with a little nostalgia in his eyes. When the Cheyenne Dao was at its peak, there was a full tripod of Cheyenne, i.e. true water, just like the inheritance of this glorious Taoist tradition, as if it would never be exhausted. Now there is only this half drop left, which makes people sigh infinitely. It stretched out its hand and pointed it out, and this drop of true water exploded immediately, turning into rivers and streams that swept all around, endless and boundless. These true waters gathered and wrapped Li Quanqing's body, and penetrated into his body through his pores, reshaping the foundation of his magic power. Li Quanqing floated in the waves, actively cooperating to refine the power of Cheyenne, i.e. true water, and combined it with his own magic power, becoming more profound and ancient. The azure water flow washed over his body, which contained countless runes, turned into ancient scriptures, imprinted in his meridians, and turned into an instinctive operation. That feeling was like the blue sea tide rising gong inherited by the Li family before, but it was more vast and boundless, showing the style of great supernatural powers. Next is the Kanghe true scripture. The fairy waved his palm, and this time there was no one yuan of heavy water to help, just a simple inheritance of the skills. But what surprised it was that the body in front of it actually had traces of being tempered by heavy water. At this time, after being stimulated, the blue-black light gathered and turned into a phantom of a Kanghe whale king, roaring to the sky. Interesting, the inheritance of the Whale Emperor sect. This is a sect under the command of Cheyenne Dao, used to guard a very important underwater space secret passage that leads directly to the Cheyenne Ancestral Temple. Xianling had some impression. As the heavy water inheritance was opened, phantoms of stars emerged, entwined with the Kanghe Whale Emperor and rotated, and the starlight gathered, as if it was the heaviest thing in the world. 1 yuan heavy water, also known as Zuan yuan heavy water, is one of the heaviest treasures in the world. It is refined from the core of the star and represents indestructibility. After practicing the heavy water scripture, you can absorb the starlight in the sky to practice. Even if you are seriously injured, you can also use the starlight to regenerate your limbs, and your body will be as immortal as the stars. Xianling explained while performing the inheritance, and also imprinted the heavy water scripture into his body. Next, it is the last Taiyan inheritance. The moonlight bloomed at the fingertips of Xianling, and a bright moon emerged. It was only the size of a speck of dust at first, and then quickly enlarged, and finally drilled into Li Quanqing's sky spirit bone. The bright moon fell into the Niwen Palace, shining brightly and illuminating all directions. Inside, a scripture appeared, with every word being a pearl, explaining the secret of the Taiyan. Everyone will have different insights when visualizing this bright moon, and imagine their own guardian spirit. Li Quanqing looked at this bright moon, read this mysterious scripture, gradually sank into it, and had his own understanding. It was also at this time that the pouring silver moonlight suddenly changed, as if it had its own life, gently wriggling and gathering. Finally, it turned into the shape of a moonlight dragon, guarding the entire Niwen Palace, with lifelike scales and armor, illuminating every corner. I actually visualized a Taiyan dragon. The immortal spirit was a little surprised. This kind of vision is very rare. Many of them are auspicious signs of jade rabbits and birds, and very few are dragons. I don't know how long it has been, but Li Quanqing finally digested these 3 inheritances completely, and the sea suppressing magic power flowed all over his body, completely covering up the breath of the blue sea inheritance. In this way, even if he joins the 4C sect, he will not be exposed. Why do I feel that I'm not much stronger than before? Li Quanqing moved his body, but he did not feel that he was too strong, and the improvement was limited. The only big change is the current Zhenhe magic power, which can also be called Xian'ai magic power and Xian magic power. In terms of the richness of the golden elixir magic power, it is indeed much stronger, with some characteristics of Xian'ai true water, embracing everything. Really? Now absorb and exhale the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and feel it first. Li Quanqing did as he was told, but closed his eyes for a few breaths, and was immediately surprised. The speed of cultivation has increased a lot, and my spiritual root aptitude has improved. Xianling laughed and confirmed his idea. As the most precious treasure of heaven and earth, Xian'ai true water is the most common of the 7 true waters, but its effect is equally amazing, and can improve the qualifications of water spiritual root cultivators. Now that the true water has reshaped your foundation, your spiritual root has been completely promoted to a top grade water spiritual root, and your future path will be easier. Thank you for your help, senior. Li Quanqing bowed respectfully. Although he relied on cheating to practice, his daily meditation practice was just to restore his spirit and recuperate. But the attitude of the senior towards him was really beyond words, just like a biological elder, taking all aspects into consideration. Now that you have obtained the Holy Infant Pill and mastered the Xian Sutra, they are all sealed in your body. When you reach a certain level, you will be able to open the subsequent scriptures. The 4 great scriptures are extremely profound. Remember not to be greedy. First, focus on the power of Zhenhe and break through the Yuanying realm. The other 2 veins can be put aside first. Only then, when the Yuanying Dharma image is condensed, the heaven-defying nature of my Xian Dao inheritance will be truly revealed, and invincible in the world. But before leaving, there is one last thing that you need to decide for yourself. Xianling played with the Huanquan golden pill left by Jiheng, speaking inexplicably, and with a wave of his hand, layers of space cracked, and a slender figure flew out. Li Quanqing looked at it intently, and was suddenly a little surprised. The golden pill cultivator in front of him was Zhao Keiwei, whom he had not seen for a long time. He had been looking for this person. After obtaining the Xian inheritance, he had forgotten about her. He didn't expect to see her figure at the end. You know her? It seems that I was right. Xianling nodded calmly, with a hint of coldness in his words. He waved his hand again, and from the depths of space, a delicate baby flew out again. Chapter 322, Samsara bead. The space cracked, and a baby flew out from it, lying in the lotus, delicate and adorable. The baby seemed to be sleeping soundly, but in fact, it was in a special seal, as if the flow of time had stopped, and it was impossible for it to wake up and grow up. Li Quanqing widened his eyes, and actually sensed a familiar blood breath from the baby, from the same clan. He looked at the baby, and then looked at Zhao Keiwei with her eyes closed, and suddenly an amazing guess emerged in his mind. The fairy nodded calmly, confirming his guess. This baby is a child of this woman. Decades ago, this woman entered the Cheyenne ruins and claimed to be the descendant of the Blue Sea god. Today, she came here to restore the glory of Cheyenne. I saw that her magic power was pure and her blood was blooming all over her body. I believed it and cultivated her to break through the golden elixir. Who would have thought that I would see the clues later? It turned out that she was pregnant in her belly. She used secret methods to suppress the growth of the fetus, and even used the blood of her own flesh and blood to make it look real and deceive me. I was furious and captured this woman, imprisoned her magic power and soul, and kept the fetus in her belly. She has been nourishing it with her essence until now, and finally made up for most of the innate origin that was consumed. Li Quanqing was shocked when he heard it. He didn't expect Zhao Keiwei to be so cruel that she could even use her own flesh and blood. Perhaps from the beginning, her combination with Li Quanqing had a certain purpose and utilitarianism. Knowing the specialness of the Li family's bloodline, he did not hide anything and told her the past of this woman, including the process of taking away the old patriarch's Bihei magic power, without missing a word. So that's how it is. When the ancient cultivator took over the body, it seemed that a remnant soul was left behind, and it was forced to merge into the child's true spirit, becoming one and the same, and reshaping itself. The fairy looked at her for a few times, and saw the truth. Since the Bihei inheritance was taken away by improper means, then I will take it away together. You can decide the fate of her life. It pointed its palm and immediately saw the flesh and blood of Zhao Keiwei's Danshan in her abdomen split open, and a bright golden pill flew out of it. After losing her magic power, Zhao Keiwei's aura dropped rapidly, and she aged at a speed visible to the naked eye, and her face turned pale. But in the blink of an eye, the beautiful girl with a beautiful face became a white-haired woman with wrinkles all over her face. Li Quanqing sighed and asked the fairy to remove the imprisonment so that she could wake up. With a few heavy gasps, Zhao Keiwei slowly woke up from her coma, feeling her whole body limp, and bursts of tearing pain came from her danshan. You. She stared with a pair of turbid old eyes, and after seeing Li Quanqing's appearance clearly, she immediately understood her current situation. Her plan had turned into nothing, and the Whale Emperor sect was buried in the years. It was difficult for her to rebuild the sect alone. One wrong step, and the whole game was lost. Do you have any last words? Li Quanqing asked. Killing an old woman who had become immortal, there was really not much pleasure of revenge. Zhao Keiwei shook her head. At this time, facing the impending death, she was calmer than ever before. She was even relieved that she didn't have to think about the sect and glory anymore. Li Quanqing was silent for a moment. I will send this child to Li Quanqing and let him recognize his ancestors and return to his roots. When mentioning her own flesh and blood, Zhao Keiwei's expression finally became a little more lively. She tried to turn her head and looked at the baby and the lotus. Her expression finally showed some tenderness. Tell Quanqing, I'm sorry for them father and son. Zhao Keiwei eventually committed suicide. Even though she became a prisoner, she still had her own pride and was unwilling to bow to anyone. Li Quanqing cast a spiritual fire, turning her body into ashes, and disappeared between heaven and earth. The fairy looked indifferent. It had lived for too many years and witnessed the death of too many creatures. It had long been accustomed to it. It was playing with two golden pills in its hands, one Bihei and one Huangquan, and said, you refused to refine this Huangquan golden pill before, but now it happens to be a complete inheritance. You can use these two golden pills to merge into a ray of reincarnation true meaning. Although the effect is not as good as the true water of reincarnation, it is enough to let you reincarnate for hundreds of times in the illusion. Polish your Tao heart and not be afraid of the inner demons in the future. Thank you, senior. Li Quanqing exhaled a breath of turbid air and saluted respectfully, with a completely junior attitude. Even if the holy infant pill is in hand, it is naturally very good to have a few more chances of successfully forming an infant. Next time you come, I hope you have collected all the fragments of Cheyenne Immortal Cauldron, or have the combat power of the God transformation, so that you can complete the fourth trial and truly inherit the Cheyenne Dale lineage. The Immortal crushed two golden pills, and under the suppression of invisible forces, it finally condensed into a green and yellow bead, emitting black and white rays of light, flowing with the meaning of reincarnation of life and death. Then, the space behind it cracked layer by layer, and the remains of an ice blue phoenix flew out of it, whistling with wind and snow, and ice blue flames burning in its skull. This is a Yuanying puppet that I made when I was free before. I give it to you to protect you. There are cultivators in the 4C sect who have seen it, so don't expose it. Li Quanqing looked at the ice phoenix puppet, and his joy was also touched. He had just consumed the Xianyang Burning World talisman, and then he had another trump card. Now facing the Yuanying level creature, he finally had the confidence again. It's time to end it. The water mirrors around the fairy spirit surged, revealing scenes in which many humans and monsters were fighting for treasures. The opening of this ruins is about to come to an end. Li Quanqing's eyes were sharp, and by chance, he actually glimpsed a familiar figure from these water mirrors. He hurriedly used his spiritual consciousness to transmit his thoughts, and made a final request. The fairy spirit nodded in agreement, his eyes dropped, with some expectation. Go on your own, don't disappoint my expectations, and bring shame to Xianyang. As soon as the voice fell, the sea water under Li Quanqing's feet suddenly surging up, and turned into waves that swallowed him up. At the same time, all the creatures in the ruins suffered this treatment, being thrown out of the space, and scattered in all directions. Outside, a huge water column stood between heaven and earth, and suddenly the watermark runes in the sky lit up, and nearly 100,000 streams of light flew out of it. These streams of light flew in all directions, at a speed that was difficult for even the nascent soul creatures to track, and quickly flew thousands of miles away, completely away from this giant sea area. The nascent soul great monks of the human race and the 4th level demon king originally wanted to wait and find a way to seize the treasures and inheritance brought out of the ruins by those creatures. At this time, they were all dumbfounded. In just a moment of distraction, all the streams of light disappeared from their sight and could no longer be found. Li Quanqing was also among them, flying thousands of miles across and landing in an unfamiliar sea area. He quickly took out the ice mysterious frozen sky mirror and grabbed it in his hand. Then the second stream of light flew over and landed not far in front of him, as if it was deliberately thrown here. After the light dissipated, a young man in a blood-stained robe was revealed, with demonic energy surging all over his body and blood surging. It was Situluo. Why are you here too? Situluo looked at him in disbelief. There were obviously hundreds of thousands of creatures in the ruins. Why was it such a coincidence that the two of them actually met? Of course Li Quanqing would not tell him the reason. He directly activated the magic treasure in his hand. The white cold air surged and froze the sea in an instant. Chapter 323 The End of the Beast Tide. The battle between the two giant and cultivators ended very quickly, or in other words, it was a one-sided crushing. Situluo knew that he was weak, so he was ready to run away right away. He directly used the blood escape technique and turned into a river of blood that scattered in all directions. Li Quanqing had already anticipated his actions, so he took out the Yuanying spiritual treasure frozen sky mirror, which naturally restrained the supreme life-saving magic of the blood river sect. Snap! As the cold air surged, the sea water in the sky quickly froze, and the ice was frozen for hundreds of miles. The blood river that Situluo turned into solidified instantly and was frozen in the sea water, unable to move. This was the cold air caused by the 4th level spiritual treasure. The level was so high that even the Yuanying cultivators would be afraid, let alone ordinary giant and demon cultivators. In the end, Li Quanqing successfully wiped out Situluo's soul and true spirit, refined all the blood drops, and completely cut off his life. At this point, the Situ family, which had finally risen again, encountered a catastrophe again, and was about to fall apart. Finally, all the cultivators who knew about the inheritance of the Blue Sea had been wiped out. Li Quanqing exhaled a breath of turbid air, and the stone in his heart fell completely. At least in the short term, the Qingyu Li family will not be exposed, attracting the spying and attack of the Huangquan sect. After returning, he will prepare to modify the family inheritance and completely hide the word Blue Sea to avoid leaking the wind again. You know, the 4C sect is also looking for their inheritance, and they really dare not slack off. Nascent Soul Realm. Li Quanqing played with a blood-colored gem, which was a storage magic weapon searched from Situluo, and a trace of expectation flashed in his eyes. Now everything is ready, just waiting for his magic power to be perfected. He can try to completely break through this bottleneck and truly stand at the top of the world. After killing Situluo, Li Quanqing began to clean up the battlefield. He threw the frozen seawater directly into the Hanhei bowl to wipe out all the magic power to avoid being discovered. After cleaning up, he was ready to return to the family, stay at home, and thoroughly digest this amazing harvest. Unexpectedly, in this battle just now, although he tried his best to suppress the fluctuation of mana and cover up the movement to the minimum, it still attracted the attention of those who were interested. Accompanied by the sound of thunder, a huge monster quickly flew over, chasing the chill in the air that had not yet completely dissipated, with a hint of excitement in its eyes. "It's you, evil beast." The moment the two sides saw each other, they were all a little surprised. They were actually familiar with each other. The guy who was attracted by the cold air of the frozen sky mirror was actually the 3rd level monster Golden Crown Thunderpeng. He did not fall in the Cheyenne ruins and survived by chance. It just noticed an astonishing burst of cold air and thought it had found the Ice Phoenix inheritance it had been looking for, so it rushed here in high spirits. Unexpectedly, it actually ran into this familiar human evil star. Cry. The Golden Crown Thunderpeng turned around and left, with thunder all over his body, displaying the extreme speed of the Peng bird, regretting it so much that he never dared to think about the Ice Phoenix bloodline again. "Where are you going? Leave the demon pill to me." Li Quanqing laughed. His eyes were extremely bright, and he threw the void scissors out with his hand, turning into a long silver rainbow that penetrated the sky. He was so surprised. The Wind and Thunder Python King was about to break through the Golden Core Elm. Even if he could refine that Kangpan Lei Ki, it was still not enough. Now such a thunder attribute demon took the initiative to hit him, which was simply a good thing that fell from the sky. In the end, Li Quanqing didn't spend much effort, and he directly took down the Golden Crown Thunderpeng and successfully obtained a 3rd level demon pill. So far, 60 years ago, the 2 big demons that ravaged the ruins of the Whale Emperor sect all fell into his hands, which was a kind of fateful reincarnation. With such a rich harvest, Li Quanqing was finally satisfied and flew in the direction of guarding the island. All the way was safe and sound, and there were no more accidents. He successfully returned to the Starry Sky boat and took over Ao King, who guarded the family. It was not until the evening that Li Kunlun returned to the family, and he was much slower than him, and it seemed that he had also gained something. This area is about to change. Li Quanqing looked at the deep sea under the night sky, and the storm was coming. Although the Cheyenne ruins have been closed, the Sahei sect will definitely not let it go. They will definitely occupy that sea area completely and build it as their own territory to plot the inheritance of the god. The demon race also covets it and will not sit idly by and watch the human race become stronger. They will interfere and try to take control of this ancient sect. However, all this is about to happen has little to do with the entirely family. They just need to watch the fire from the other side of the river. Li Quanqing sat cross-legged in the hall deep in the Cheyenne's house and began to check the rich harvest this time and sort it out. The most precious thing is naturally the Holy Infant Pill, which is sealed in the crystal and is pure white in color, as if it condenses the rhyme of the saint. Bao Guangchen's eyes were wide open, like a copper bell, croaking, wishing to swallow this pill into his stomach. Li Quanqing flicked the golden toad away with one finger, carefully put away the Holy Infant Pill, and then took out the Samsara Pearl. This is a fusion of the 2 inheritances of the Blue Sea and the Yellow Spring. It has some of the true meaning of Samsara, and can be used to sharpen the heart of Taoism, and reincarnate for hundreds of generations. It can also be called a nascent soul spiritual object. In addition, there is the Ice Phoenix puppet, the nascent soul spirit treasure demon dragon halberd, and the Cheyenne scripture inheritance. In general, although a 4th level jade talisman was consumed, it was exchanged for extremely rich rewards. Well, there is also this child. Li Quanqing carefully took out the baby from the Hanhei bowl. Being sealed, it seemed to fall into a long sleep and looked particularly thin. Go back and take it to the old patriarch. It is considered his great-grandson. Now that the 9 Swords real man has fallen, maybe Li Quanqing can be helped to become the leader of the Shuhua sword sect? Li Quanqing thought about it, but didn't care much. He continued to seal the child in the lotus to nourish the consumed innate essence. What happened next was as expected. A fierce battle broke out between the human and demon races around the Cheyenne ruins, and both wanted to completely occupy this sea area. 5 Yuanian great monks from the 4C sect came at the same time, formed alliances, and summoned the monks from the entire East China Sea's Yuxin world. After paying a heavy price, they finally succeeded in pushing the human and demon battlefield forward tens of thousands of miles, truly grasping the Cheyenne Sea area in their hands, and even preparing to build a branch sect here. Li Quanqing felt that this was just a useless effort. The Immortals had too many opinions about them, and they would only be rejected. When he thought that he might have to confront the 4C sect in the future and seize the immortal cauldron, Li Quanqing felt a headache. Time continued to flow towards the future as before, and fairness and justice left deep marks on all living beings. In a blink of an eye, this Jia beast tide gradually subsided. Because of the emergence and competition of the Cheyenne ruins, the losses of the human and demon races this time were particularly heavy. But from the results, it is undoubtedly that the human race has the upper hand and has won a huge victory, pushing the battle line forward tens of thousands of miles. The Li family also successfully completed the mission of resisting the demon tribe without too many casualties, and began to return to the Shuhua Sea. Chapter 324 Family Reunion. The day when the Gengjin sect's order came and announced the end of the beast tide, the monks on the entire island all burst into cheers of surprise. They celebrated loudly, happy that they did not fall into the mouth of the monster and survived successfully and could continue to welcome the warm rising sun tomorrow. Even the Qingyu Li clan, with the Gengjin sky boat as a fortress, the casualty rate was extremely low, and the mood was also in a state of joy at this time. Resisting the beast tide was too hard and too tiring. The day and night, ultra high intensity combat was very rare. Few monks could bear it. It was a double torture of the body and the mind. Fortunately, they finally held on, and everyone seemed to have experienced a transformation. After the baptism of the beast tide, in the next 10 years, the cultivation will improve rapidly and usher in a leap forward. Li Quanqing looked at his family members, and a smile also appeared on his face. There was a sense of relief from the heart, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. He took out a lot of third-level monster meat, and distributed it to these Li clan members as a reward for their 2 years of fighting. These were obtained from Situluo's storage magic weapon. This guy practiced magic, and collected a lot of monster flesh and blood, which was just right for making full use of. Finally, I can go home. Li Quanqing also walked out of the hall. His eyes were bright, lightning was hidden, and his expression was full of impatience. Many cultivators rested for 2 days before starting to set off, following the Gengjin sky boat and returning home. This group of cultivators was mighty, and the number was 1/5 less than 2 years ago. Those who survived were all elite. This was because there were not many high-level monsters in this area, which showed the cruelty of the beast tide in the outer sea. Too many cultivators were buried here. Halfway through the journey, Qingyu Li's team joined with Yanyu sect and Beiwu sect to form a powerful army of cultivators. Several giant and Zenran nodded to each other, and their auras had all improved significantly compared to 2 years ago, with a more vigorous aura on their bodies. They congratulated each other, talked about everything, and had a tacit understanding with each other. They deliberately skipped the unlucky Shuhua sword sect, and did not mention it too much. After the death of Jiuji and Zenran, this once glorious giant and sect lost its last pillar of support, and now there is still no news of any foundation building cultivators forming a pill. Everyone can see that the rise of the Li family is unstoppable, and is about to replace the territory and status of the sword sect. Li Quanqing listened to the conversation between several people, and the most mentioned thing was still the ancient and mysterious Cheyenne ruins. The sensation caused at that time was really too great. In order to compete for this sea area, the human and demon races fought to the death, and there were battles between Yuanian creatures almost every day. After the Sahai sect occupied the Cheyenne Sea, it established a sect branch, called on many cultivators to open up wasteland, and cleaned up the remaining demons, plundered resources, and reaped a lot of rewards. Li Quanqing was originally thinking about whether to expose the submarine secret passage to quickly open up the long distance between the inland sea and the open sea for cross-sea trade. In this way, the Li family, as a local snake, can definitely make a lot of money by collecting money. After careful consideration, he finally rejected this tempting idea. His strength is still too weak, and it is difficult to defend this gold mine. It is better to wait until he forms a Yuanying, and then gradually contact the 4C sect. The people did not move fast along the way, fully enjoying the feeling of returning victorious, leisurely, and finally it took 3 months to reach their hometown. Well, it's really a grand welcome scene. The Gengjin sky boat slowly descended, and Li Quanqing looked up and saw countless cultivators gathered in the Shuhua Sea, respectfully welcoming them. Li Quanqing also looked over, and many guys looked familiar. It can be said that all the well-known forces in the entire sea area have come to welcome the return of the Overlord. Among them, there are many sects that were loyal to the Shuhua Sword sect in the past, but now they have all turned against it, knowing that the era of the Sword sect is completely over. From now on, this sea area will be renamed the Qingyu Sea. Li Quanqing retracted his gaze. This is the cruelty between the sects. The territory and resources are limited. The rise of one side must be accompanied by the fall of the other side. With their status, they naturally disdain to talk too much with this group of guys. The silver white stars rumbled and rolled straight over, flying over the heads of many cultivators, like a sky descending. No Li family cultivator paid any attention to them. With such neglect, these guys became more respectful, and took the initiative to smile, and offer sacrifices in their loyalty. In this process, those cultivators who followed the Li family to fight also dispersed one by one and returned to their respective homelands. The sky boat cut through the clouds, quickly broke through the sea surface, and finally arrived at the purple blood sea. They saw the familiar Qingyu cave heaven, which slowly came into view. The Li family cultivators who stayed behind in the family are gathering here collectively to welcome the return of the clansmen, with eager expectations, and looking forward to it. Most of them are old people, their eyes are a little cloudy, their hair is white, they have been standing here for a long time, but the eagerness in their eyes has not diminished at all. Li Quanqing stopped the sky boat, and then opened the formation that blocked the surface of the star. Suddenly, one by one, the Li family monks came out of it, like swallows returning home after a long absence. Go home. Go home. In an instant, the clansmen hugged each other, shouting, laughing, and crying intertwined, echoing in the air, and both sides listened to the trivial matters after leaving home. The wanderers returned home, gathered together and reunited, and the meaning of family seemed so vivid at this moment of reunion after a long absence. The sky boat hummed, swaying with rays of light, drilling into the Qingyu cave heaven, descending again, and seeing the familiar scene on the earth. Everyone is tired, let's go our separate ways, rest for a few days, and then we will discuss how to deal with the Shuhua Sword sect. Li Quanqing spoke, his eyes swept, looking at the many foundation building monks who stayed inside the star, with a sense of majesty in his words. Follow the order of the clan leader. Many of these foundation building monks have relatives, and they can't wait to leave and reunite with their relatives. Even Li Quanqing has a bloodline descendant left by his younger brother Li Quanqing, but his talent is not outstanding. Why do I feel like I'm the only one left alone? Li Quanqing looked at the empty hall and laughed suddenly, feeling like an empty nest old man. Moo. Aoking took the initiative to coil up his body, wrapped his master up, and gently rubbed his scales and dragon claws, as if transmitting his body temperature. Caring for the empty nest old man. Let's go. Follow me to the 10,000 fish pond. Li Quanqing scratched the reverse scale under the jaw of Qingyu, as if scratching the chin of a cat, which made Aoking's muscles and bones feel numb and comfortable. One person and one dragon descended on the 10,000 fish pond, and the blue water of the pool rippled. The reef stood alone, empty and silent, without any vitality. The old clan leader Li Quanqing was standing here, all alone, looking even more like an empty nest elderly person than he was. Li Quanqing looked at the lonely old man, took out the baby from the hanhei bowl, and smiled. Clan leader, look what I brought back for you. Chapter 325 Taiyan Banner. The old patriarch stood in the pond of 10,000 fishes, smiling and welcoming his arrival, the most outstanding and proud descendant of the entire Qingyu Li family. Unexpectedly, Li Quanqing came up and took out a baby without saying a word, lying in the lotus and sleeping soundly. Who is this child? Li Zhangyao's eyes widened slightly. When he saw the baby for the first time, he felt very kind and had a natural liking for it. The cute and well-behaved look seemed to melt his heart. Guess. Li Quanqing pushed the lotus over. When he got closer, he could see the cuteness of this child even more. He was delicate, like a porcelain doll. How can he be sealed at such a young age? This will affect his future growth. Who are the parents of this child? They are so careless. The old patriarch wanted to touch the baby, but he only touched the cold seal and suddenly became angry. This child suffered in the womb, and his innate essence was insufficient, so he was sealed to make up for it. As for his father, Li Quanqing deliberately dragged out his tone to give the old patriarch some time to buffer. It's Li Quanqing. Li Zhangyao's palms trembled visibly, and his face flashed with surprise, joy, disbelief and other expressions intertwined together. His hands trembled slightly as he touched the lotus, his eyes were complicated, his lips trembled, and finally he just sighed. That girl Zhao, did you find her? Li Quanqing hummed, and did not think of hiding anything. He told him what happened in the Cheyenne ruins, and even did not think of hiding the inheritance of the Blue Sea. Lord of the Sea, the blood of the god. I didn't expect that our Li family actually has such a background. The old patriarch's mood gradually calmed down. After thinking for a moment, he said, I have a rough guess. Do you still remember the first generation ancestor of our Li family? Well, you mean the old man Li Quanqing? Li Quanqing remembered this name very clearly. After all, few immortal cultivators could handle such a powerful name. This was the first generation ancestor of the Li family who came to the East China Sea thousands of years ago to open up wasteland. Starting from his children, the 16 generations of Changqing Chengzang, Qunai Quanjin, Yang'an Zhu Wanqing were established. My grandfather said that our ancestor was originally just a cowherd in the fields, and his ancestors were all mortals. Later, he accidentally saved a fairy who was in trouble in the secular world and was seen to have spiritual roots. He then worshipped this fairy as his master, and then he stepped into the world of immortal cultivation. Later, the master and the apprentice gradually fell in love, so they got married and gave birth to several children. This is how our Li family's blue sea tide rising skill was passed down. It is rumored that our grandmother was carrying the inheritance of a declining sect. She was discovered and hunted on the mainland, so she fled millions of miles away and settled in the East China Sea. The old patriarch told a secret, which was an anecdote passed down in the family and was not recorded in the specific sect books. Li Quanqing was a little stunned when he heard it. His ancestor was really awesome. Not only was he a traitor to his master, but his luck was even more amazing. A cowherd boy could actually hook up with the descendant of the god transformation venerable. Yes, both of them had guessed at this time that the source of the Blue Sea bloodline in the Li family might come from this fairy in distress. It was really fate that made people marvel. There is no need to spread these things. You and I know it well. The name of Blue Sea Tide Rising skill should also be changed. In the future, just call it Blue Tide skill. No matter inside or outside the clan, it will avoid any disaster. Li Quanqing quite agreed with the old patriarch's approach. This was also what he strongly advocated. He had wanted to change the name for a long time. This child will be left to you. Li Quanqing looked at the baby in the lotus. He finally got rid of it. He didn't want to have an extra tail. I will personally take action to search for those natural treasures, to complete the foundation for this grandson, and bring him to my side, to cultivate in the future. Li Zhangyao's face was full of love, as if the whole person had a spiritual pillar, bursting out that kind of vigorous vitality from the inside out. Li Quanqing handed him the incomplete inheritance of the Xianghuo Shendao, which was enough to cultivate to the level of half-step Yuanying, and it was amazingly powerful. Li Quanqing. I will call him over personally, and let this child recognize his ancestors. As for all traces of Zhao existence, erase them together. Li Quanqing was relieved. Now the Shuhua sword sect is leaderless. Our Li family wants to expand, but it is not easy to destroy them openly. Why not push Quanqing to the position of the sect leader? This idea is feasible. The old patriarch nodded and agreed to this idea. He could try to bring it up at the next family meeting. After Li Quanqing said goodbye and left the 10,000 fish pond, he returned to the cave he had not seen for a long time. Even though it was covered by the formation, it still seemed empty. With Aoking's dragon roar, water splashed in the fish pond, countless green jade carps poked their heads out, and the sky was covered with water arrows. Li Quanqing laughed and stood on the embankment, facing the baptism of water arrows, and finally found the familiar feeling. Harvest a middle stage key refining jade carp, and reward a top grade magic weapon Gengjin shield. Harvest a late stage key refining gold pattern jade carp, and reward 2 drops of Shyanai spiritual liquid. Li Quanqing reached out and touched, crushing several light balls. 2 years have passed, and without human feeding, these jade carps have grown very slowly, and there are not many rewards. There are a few key refining great perfection ones, which can be thrown into the evolution dragon pond for cultivation, and maybe they can evolve into a green-horned fish dragon. Li Quanqing put down the jade carp in his hand, took out the hanhei bowl, opened it, and put the foundation building monsters that originally lived in the fish pond back into it. For example, the longevity turtle, the canghei whale, the millennium bright moon shell, and so on. Li Quanqing looked into the bowl and saw lightning flashing on the purple thunder peak, and the wind thunder python was entrenched under the silver white thunder peach tree. It gently rubbed the bark with its scales, and 2 treasures were suspended in front of it, a demon pill of the golden crown thunder peng, and a top grade thunder spirit stone. The wind and thunder python is now cultivating with the help of the treasure, and its cultivation has reached the great perfection of foundation establishment. At that time, it will be able to refine the blue pan thunder key and break through the dan. Now with the help of the demon pill, the probability of breaking through is very high, and then another precious reward will be obtained. Li Quanqing's eyes dropped and looked at another place. The void butterfly also curled up its body, wrapped around the snake bones of the sky-splitting python, and absorbed the void power from it to practice. This guy has extraordinary blood and a very fast cultivation speed. Maybe he will break through the late giant stage even faster than him. By then, with the 4th level demon pill in hand, the probability of breaking through the nascent soul is also very high. Spirit beasts are more and more fierce. It seems that I have to work hard too. Li Quanqing thought truthfully. After practicing Cheyenne mana and improving his spiritual root qualifications, his cultivation speed was also a little faster. But unexpectedly, after only 2 days of returning, a spirit beast in the fish pond gave him a surprise. Harvested a mid-stage foundation building bright moon shell, and was rewarded with the method of refining the golden elixir magic weapon Taiyin banner. Right square bracket. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.